following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Trading paints, right?
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome as the road to the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series rolls through Daytona, as this is the final stop on the journey. Cisco Scaramouza alongside Randy Cheneth and Rod Flag to bring you coverage of the 2018 NASCAR iRacing Pro Series. And this, Randy, this is the end of the line. You got to make it through Daytona if you hope you make it to the big leagues.
Absolutely right about that. End of the line, and what a way to end it. A track like Daytona is just nothing more than a gamble. I think a lot of people would prefer to have this maybe at the start of the championship, but you're going to have, I think, some people who are in tears after this one and some people who are ecstatic that maybe slipped in right at the end.
Yes, you absolutely are. And Rod, a newcomer to the broadcast booth, you were with us for the duels here from Daytona not that long ago, but you know what it means to get it done on a plate track. What are these drivers going to have to do tonight to make it happen?
Yeah, stay out of trouble. That's the biggest thing. Be in a good place that you can hopefully avoid a wreck if it's inevitably going to happen. But stay out of trouble. Make sure that you're looking for anything that can and could happen. It's plate racing, it's close proximity, and you just got to be in a position to either avoid the wreck or be in a position where you can draft up there and potentially win the race.
Well, as cars begin to roll off pit road, we'll run you through your LSRTV starting grid here for 41 cars getting ready to take the track. Colton Davis going to round us off. He's going to get the pole here from Daytona. Casey Kerwin going to start to his outside. Third place going to go to Jarl Tyan. David Rattler going to start fourth. Fifth to Keegan Leahy. Sixth going to go to Brad Davies. Seventh to Patrick Mallet. Eighth going to go to Derek Wood. Robbie Vrabel Jr. going to start ninth. And Brandon Pitgrass rounds out your top 10, Randy.
11th spot, we're going to have Nicholas Shelton, Garrett Lowe in 12th, Michael Garugli at 13th, Benjamin Nelson, Mitchell Hunt 14th and 15th, Adam Bedingfield 16th, Nick Moore 17th, Dallas Pisaka 18th, Brandon Wilkinson 19th, and Nathan Lyon. He'll round out your top 20.
21st going to go to Kane Cook, 22nd to the number 5 of Michael Guest, 23rd gonna go to Chad Coleman, 24th to Seth the Merchant, 25th to Eric Smith, 26th to Glenn Rockefeller Jr., 27th to Alex Bergeron, 28th to Jacob Harberts, 29th to Ryan Doucette, and Marcus Ruckman rounds out your top 30 as we'll run you through the rest of your starting grid down at the bottom of your screen. But racing getting ready to commence here, Randy. Final thoughts as we head through turns 3 and 4, the final green flag to start us off here.
I mean, I think it's like Rod said, you have to survive this one. You have to play it patient. 100 laps tonight around Daytona, so 250 miles. Just need to be calm, cool. Don't get caught up in anything silly early. Just run where you are and hope you can avoid the big one when it hits.
Well, we're making it happening here on LSRTV. We thank you for joining us from the World Center of Racing. It's the Ford Mustang iRacing.com pace car going to head to pit road, and the field going to be in the hands of Jarl Tyan. Familiar colors on the number 6 as he's going to bring that car under the flag stand and take the American Ethanol green flag.
It's a good run down towards corner number 1. Very well for Jarl, showing everyone that he knows the way. And on the outside, Casey Kerwin's getting a big head of steam as well up top. So he's just, I think, getting cool in that Kirkwood Transportation Ford Fusion as everyone's just trying to get down to the bottom. It seems like no one really liking that top groove.
Yeah, everybody running to the bottom right now. They'll file in behind Tyan, and it's down to the inside early on, Rod, and we know how crucial that inside line here is at Daytona. So many guys have so much success down there. That's going to be the preferred line, and really, if they can get the passing lane working on the outside, it's going to be a tough task, but if they can get that working, only then will they be really able to do anything.
Yeah, like with the 8 car of Keegan Leigh did, they're nice job pushing the 6 car, getting that low line going. It looks like the high line struggling a little bit. They're up there, looks like 26. He's showing a little bit there up there, but I don't know. They're having a little help there with Brad Davies behind him, but they're going to need a lot more help there, Cisco, to at least get up to the leader.
Yeah, you got Derek Wood in that bright yellow, almost John Gorlinski colored car up on the top side, along with the 21 of Brad Davies, and of course David Rattler up there trying to make it happen. And David had a little bit of a jump in the points last week, Randy. Of course, we had that rules change that kind of shook up the point standings a little bit. Combine that with Rattler's really good finish last week, and it gave him a shot that he can race his way into this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. A lot of motivation on the line for the driver of the 26.
Yeah, you know that's going to be one of the things that make you very happy. Have a slight rules change come in, gives you an opportunity, and to hit some momentum late on in the season is always good, especially coming at a track like Daytona. And then to be running up near the front, currently the leading car on that top line, but that top line is not very well formed up right now, so we're not going to see that group come in, and that really doesn't surprise me. I think we're going to see that top group be really, really patient, and we're going to see about basically racing just like this, I think, until probably about lap 60, lap 70, till these guys start really, really pressuring, okay, I need to move up through this field, and then start getting really, really aggressive on that top line.
Yeah, we take a look at the point standings coming into tonight, and on top of the points table has been the man in that 3 car who has been at the forefront for a lot of this NASCAR iRacing Pro Series, and that's Casey Kerwin. You got Colton Davis up there as well, and Davis looking for him on the entry list a little bit further down your field, at least running right now. You also got Nicholas Shelton, who had a lot of success early on in this series. You got drivers like Keegan Leigh, who's currently running in that second position. You got Brad Davies, who's also out there a little bit further back. He's 7th. Of course, Brandon Pipgrass. And then from Jarl down, basically, are the guys who are on the bubble. You see Garrett Lowe right on the cusp. And the biggest thing, I think, tonight for Garrett here, Rod, is the fact that he's no longer allied with his former teammates in the drill spill. That means Garrett's on his own here, assuming unless he does get a little help from those guys, he's definitely going to need some help when it comes to pit stops. And you see the Specs logo on that car, so maybe he did finally get some teammates for this race, because you know you're going to need them at the big plate track.
Yeah, teammates are essential, whether they're formal or informal or not. You got to have help coming down pit road, because it's all about keeping that draft up when you're exiting pit road and getting it back up to speed. So, it's very, very important, Cisco, like you just said. And, I think that if you can find somebody, or at least can find some indication, if somebody's making an indication that they're going to be signaling to go to pit road, maybe you grab somebody and go with them and get that help informally.
Yeah, no kidding. And right now, still single file on the bottom side, and you see that line to the top side, and only 2 cars left up there right now. You see Rattler, the 26. Now the 21 going to drop inside. That's Brad Davies. We talked a little bit about him earlier. He's going to drop to the inside of the track and leave Rattler the only driver on the outside right now, Randy, who's going to even try and challenge anything, and that's not good for him.
Yeah, and he's going to drop a lot of positions, and for that number 26 car of David Rattler, that's the last thing you want to see happen. And he's just falling like a stone right now, because he doesn't have any draft help at all. He's going to have Mitchell Hunt in the 39, who's going to get to the back of him, but he's dropped about a half dozen car lengths since we saw that car go down to the inside. And luckily for him, I think staying up there might be a good idea. If that little pack of cars we have up top can make something happen, might be able to push your way back to the front. But if that doesn't happen, he's going to be locked back there, because I think if that top groove doesn't start making things happen quickly, I think some of those guys that are currently up there and pushing might try to get down low.
Yeah, no kidding. And you see that second line back there that Rattler's backed up to. A couple more cars up there, but Rod's still not looking as formed up as they need to be to start gaining spots. It'll be good to have a couple cars up there, but you can't really do anything unless you're locked on the back bumper of these cars.
Yeah, David Rattler, he's just, I've been there. It is the worst feeling in the world when you're caught up high. Nobody's wanting to make any moves up front, and you just got to hope that, you know, maybe the guys that are struggling mid pack will start making that high line move a little bit forward. But you get really frustrated. You see all these cars just passing at no problem on the low line, and you start seeing yourself 11th, 12th, 13th, 15th, 20th. Before you know it, you're in the back of the pack.
And that is not a good feeling to have, especially if you're David Rattler and you're basically in an all-out battle with Garrett Lowe. And where's Garrett Lowe? Well, he's running 11th right now. So that battle at the cut line between Rattler and Lowe right now in favor of the driver of the #1 car. And a little bit spread out is your front pack here. But we're going to step aside really quickly here, go LSRTV nonstop, so of course you don't miss a moment of the action, and see if we can speed up that bit rate a little bit and see what we can make happen on the stream. But you're watching the 2018 NASCAR iRacing Pro Series here on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Be back in, let's say, about 2 minutes.
Welcome back, guys, to LSRTV, bringing you the last race of the Road to Pro race for that NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. And Yarlton is still continuing to lead the way, myself and Rod Flag. Lap start to this one, Rod, and I think for a 100-lap race at Daytona, that shouldn't be much of a surprise.
Yeah, it's pretty clean so far. I mean, we've not seen a lot of aggressive behavior, which is good, Randy. So they're minding their P's and Q's, and they're trying to log laps, get to that first pit stop, potentially maybe get some green flag stops in, spread this pack out a little bit. So it looks like it's right around the 21 and 22 car where we're starting to see just again that double file racing between Michael Garla and Brad Davies. So still 7-8 cars there up front there, single file, good control of the race.
That top line is starting to get a little bit stronger. Apparently, some believers coming up there. In terms of changes for position, really not a whole lot to talk about. The only really advancement we've got had up near front is that your pole sitter of Colton Davis. He opted to start this race from pit road, and because of that, everyone who basically started on that inside groove got bumped up one spot. And really, for the most part, you look at our top 5, top 10 right now, Rod, everyone pretty much runs as they started, as we got more cars hopping up to that top side. That black number 16 of Robbie Vrabel Jr., he gets up to the top, and I think we're getting a little bit momentum up on that high side.
Yeah, challenge for fourth place, fourth to fifth place, excuse me. 16, Robbie Vrabel Jr. up there trying to make something happen. It's tough. It looks like they got a little bit more help there, getting some more people that want to help, but sometimes it's just inches a lap. You got to get up there and get next to fourth place. Right now, he's getting a challenge up there to Casey Kerwin, so getting up to the third place. You just got to get right up there, inch up there, and before you know it, might be challenging for the lead.
There's still some people in the background hopping up as well. At one point, we only saw maybe a half dozen cars at the most up on that top groove. Now, say about a third of the field, maybe a little bit more, up on that top side of the racetrack. They come across start finish. Still only about up to the third or fourth car in line, but I think that's going to be getting a little bit stronger as these guys try to get themselves formed up through 1 and 2 now for the 17th time in this one and down this back straightaway. And what's interesting to me, Rod, is the fact that we're almost halfway in this first fuel run. It's a little bit of ways to go for that, but I would have suspected that people would want to be aggressive up top early, and then as the run goes on, when it looks like we might get some green flag stops, start getting down low. They sort of did the opposite here, where everyone got down low early, then as the fuel starts getting burned off, people decided to go up top. Why would you do that as opposed to the other way?
I think it's just the nervousness of hoping something doesn't happen early, and that big wreck. You just don't want to get in that early, and I think people were being very conservative early on in this race. And once they saw it was okay, they said, okay, let's go up there high and let's see if we can make a race out of this. So I think as laps run, there will be more and more confidence, and we might actually see a little more error happen. So it just really depends on the situation. And here it looks like they're starting to get a little bit more gutsy. You made an interesting point though earlier, a few minutes ago, about Colton Davis and Tyler Hudson who are back there. That's a strategy. That's a real interesting strategy. That's basically counting on, you're thinking there's going to be a big wreck, and then being able to have half the field or a quarter of the field wreck out and then race their way to the rest of the race. So the counter to that is, they're inching towards becoming a lap down, and if you become a lap down in a race that goes green in restrictor play race, that's not a fun place to be.
Talking about how close that lead is, they are 41 seconds back, and you're only talking about 44 or so second lap time. So about 3 seconds back is your race leaders from the likes of Tyler Hudson and Colton Davis. And if they manage to get there, that would be quite the misplay for Colton Davis in that number 13 car. He comes into this second in the points, and he's already used one of those drop weeks. So the problem is for Colton is that if something bad happens to him, he has it could be the end. He could drop a lot if he ends up finishing way down in this order.
He can, and it's just, when you're that high in points, sometimes you go through your mind, what's the best decision? Do I be conservative? Do I be aggressive? And you never know, especially in the plate race, what's going to be the best strategy here. But they still got a little bit of a gap on the lead pack, but they're definitely running out of time. They're watching 16. Robbie Vrabel, he's almost got up to second place there, but gosh, he's just having such a rough time up there.
So Cisco seems to be happy with the bit rate and the audio quality. So Cisco, why don't you take the reins of this horsey ride once again? Yeah, 2008 memes. Yeah, it's been coming down very, very quickly, and as everyone should know, that the more cars you have in a train, the quicker you're going to be able to go, and that, unfortunately, is what Colton Davis and Tyler Hudson are finding out right now, and you just see the way they close as they come through that tri-oval, and this is going to be the first hectic moment we've had in traffic all night, is how these guys are going to deal with these two, and are these guys going to play nice and get up top, or are they going to make the entire field go around up high on them as they come through 1 and 2, and let's see how this ends up happening, and can the whole field get around these two quickly and cleanly.
There we go. I think I've been muted this whole time. But like what I was trying to say was, no, we're comedy errors tonight. But Rod, those cars on the bottom side, they'll get swallowed up by the pack here. That's a huge advantage for them. They don't have to get out of the way. There's nothing in the rule book that says they have to go to the top side. So for them, it's a case of, well, now they're in the draft, because you look, the 23 of Tyler Hudson, he's in there, the 13 of Colton Davis up in that lead group. And as a result, they don't have to worry about falling to the rear of this field here, and they're not in the middle of the pack, which they would have started in had they started where they qualified. So, yeah, you're on pole. Down. Well, in that case, is it just a case where they just wanted to not be in an accident, Randy?
That's all I can think of, is that they were expecting some.
But you were going to be in the lead, early. Right?
Yeah, I don't understand it. Maybe. How is he in the points?
I mean, a couple Fridays ago, I started on the pole, and that's the safest place to be. And once you're not in there, well, that's a different story. But once you're not in the lead, you start feeling uncomfortable, and it's not fun. And you have to make it 100 some laps. So I think it's exactly that. I think they just didn't want to be in the wreck, and now it's they're up front and they were able to keep up there right now, but there's a lap down too, so they're gonna have to fight that bug the rest of the race.
Yeah, they are, and it's definitely gonna be a bug that they're gonna have to fight that whole race. As now Patrick Mallett, the number 15 car, up on the top side, as we look to have everything sorted out now. The volume bar isn't yelling at me, so that's good. But Mallett on the top side, not a whole lot of help for the Tim's Corner Motorsports car. He's got right behind him, that's Mitchell Hunt, the 39, that white car, and Mitch decides, no, I'm not going to help you out that much. He's going to go the outside, a little bit of 3 wide here, which is always fun at Daytona. It's not Talladega, guys, so hold on to it. They'll go side by side off the corner, and the Earnhardt sucker hole in full effect here tonight, Randy.
That's pretty much working in perfection right now as he's getting swallowed up. He's getting some help though, so I think we might see this 3 wide stick for a little bit as pink car in the 32 machine, that's Eric Smith as well as Chad Coleman, they're going to help push in the middle. So we're going to stay 3 wide here, about 6 or 7 cars back on your front little pack, and that middle groove gets a big run. One driver from about 3rd or 4th in line, he jumps up to the top side, that's Robbie Vrabel Jr., and he cuts off that momentum, and he says, you know what, I'll take a little bit of that as well. And now those drivers up top who thought they were going to be swallowing up that middle groove, now they're the ones getting swallowed up, and you see one of them immediately goes down to the bottom, and now that white car gets in line as well, so that top groove not working out too strongly just yet.
No, it's not, and Jarl Tyen, meanwhile, has led virtually, yes, he has led every lap this time, but a little bit of a threat. Robbie Vrabel Jr. noses in front as they head into turn number 3 this time. He's got an excellent push from the driver behind him of Patrick Mallett. They'll come through 3 and 4 this time. And I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, though. You see that slow car that these guys are starting to catch, the Jean-Baptiste Charles in front of them. So looks like at the line it's going to be Jarl will hold on for another one, but Pat's up there and he's trying to make it happen, Rob.
Yeah, struggled to keep that momentum high. I think Robbie thought he had it and almost thought he's going to come and challenge for the lead, but momentum dropped off a little bit. And when you're that car, especially the 32 that was Eric Smith that was pushing him, you got to stay on in the bumper, and it's teamwork. When you see the guy losing your bumper, you kind of have to get off the throttle and blip it just a little bit so they have opportunity to stay right next close to you. So you got to have situational awareness in that, and I don't know if that was the case there, but looks like they're gaining that momentum back a little bit there, and a lot of cars up there high. I see one particular car I'm familiar with there, the 4 of Seth the Merchant, that's up there helping too.
Yeah, and I talked to Seth right before this, one because I wanted to see if he could commentate tonight, and he told me, no, I'm running. I got 7,200 iRating, why not? So the 4 out there, and of course super speedways, as you mentioned, Rod, a forte of the driver, the number 4, and did a little domination Saturday night in the United Sim Racing VNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. Himself, Kyle Manger, and Christian Peterson went 1, 2, 3 in that race with a huge gap back to the rest of the field. So we know Seth can get it done on the plate tracks. And Randy, the plate tracks you always throw around the term that, oh, well, it's a potluck. You know, the draft, it's a great big equalizer. Well, not necessarily. There are drivers who can run the plate tracks just a little bit better than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Dale Sr. was known for that, wasn't he? There are some guys who they know how to work these places. They know how to work the draft. They know where to place their cars when that top side's coming in, when the bottom side's coming in. They know when they need to be patient. They know when they need to be aggressive. It's just one of the things about plate racing that you can see. You even see people at times who often don't do this sort of racing, even NASCAR stuff in general, come to this and they just have a natural knack for it. I've seen it go both ways before, and it's always good to see that, you know, especially it's always good as well, another skill, to know who those guys are who are really, really good on the plate tracks and to try to keep with them and follow them and work with them as opposed to doing the opposite. Because if they're good on the plate tracks, chances are they're making some good decisions out there.
Yeah, and they're going to know who to draft with. As you see the 9 car, how about Chad Coleman? That's a name we haven't said in a little while. Coleman, the blacked out JDR graphics Ford up on the top side trying to make things happen. And Rod, it's you know, sometimes you have to team up with that guy that you're not necessarily a big fan of, but you know he's going to be faster. And at the end of the day, we know at the end of these races, it becomes every driver for themselves. But for now, you have to, as Daryl Waltrip would say, play a little bit of co-opetition.
Yeah, you don't always choose who you get to work with at the plate tracks. It's more who's in front of you, who's behind you, who can help you. And, you know, certainly the 9, Chad Coleman, he's done a tremendous job. Him and Eric Smith in the 32. Eric, 21 spots gained, Chad 17 points gained, or 17 positions gained. So really nice job getting up front there and earning their way up to the front.
I know JD Laird's going to be happy. One of the JDR cars is up front towards the kind of third way point through this race, and going to be completing lap number 31 at the line. Your top 5 continue to be all time. Keegan Leahy's been hanging around all day. Robbie Vrabel Jr. has worked his way up there. Pat Mallett also as well. And as you mentioned, Rod, Eric J. Smith has run up through this field past a lot of cars so far early on, but another driver starting to make a little bit of noise here, is besides those guys, of course, is he's been kind of hanging around, but Nick Shelton sitting in the position that I think he needs to be in here, Randy. He needs to have a good, consistent night if he hopes to ensure his passage into the Peak Antifreeze Series. He's not quite on the bubble in the same way that David Rattler is, but he's still in that kind of yellow zone.
Yeah, it is one of those situations right now. I mean, right now he's 3rd, but considering the fact you think about the fact that 10th is it's not very many points back, only about 40 points back. You can't afford to have a bad result here, I think, for across all these drivers. I think you need to just be calm, cool, collected. It's not the sort of situation we saw last season where had a driver like Ryan Luther who just dominated it. You see a lot of people making a break for pit road. We got about 6 or 7 cars, I think, making the early jump right now. One driver locks it up bad, and he's in the infield grass. That's going to be Benjamin Nelson, and that's going to be bad news bears for him in that 30 machine.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a penalty, Rod. And one thing not a lot of drivers think to practice is if Michael Guest goes sideways into his pit boxes, pit road entry at restrictor plate tracks. It is so important to get that right. Ben Nelson got it all wrong.
Yeah, he did. And as you said, Michael Guest came spinning to his pit stall. Ken Cook had some trouble getting in his pit stall as well. This is crucial. I mean, it can add 10, 15, 20 seconds, and that's huge when you're in a pack of cars that you know is going around the track in 47 seconds a lap. So most of these guys are going to be passed in a lap down, which usually you should be coming out in front of the pack on a green flag stop. So I'm shocked.
Well, it's going to pay for a couple of those drivers, going to find themselves further back in the field. And as we come back to the live picture now, Jarl deciding to continue to stay out. We saw a line of drivers coming out of pit road that just all came back on track, and you see Braden Boulos there in the number 7 kind of leading them all. You got Steven Wilson, Michael Guest as well, who's able to hold on to the field here, and then you got Kane Cook just barely tagging on. Ben Nelson, meanwhile, out in no man's land, but come out of turn number 4. Here comes some more cars down pit road. Pat Mallett gonna lead them all in. Is he gonna make the pit speed this time? Survey says yes, he'll make it. 63 or so miles an hour. He should be good to go. Everybody else, a lot more successful pit road entry. But Randy, the other thing, of course, these new pit boxes, these guys have to be inch perfect rolling into the pit box.
We started to see people, since we're now about 6 or 7 weeks after the build release, really get used to it. But one guy I see someone having some issues, Michael Garuglia, trying to get into that spot in the 22, and he's just still not there. Been 5, 6, 7 seconds, all this wasted time for Michael, and he's still not in the box, still not in it, and finally he gets that in. So he's definitely going to lose a lap in all these spots. And you just mentioned it, Cisco, you got to be perfect getting into there. And I mentioned the fact that people have started getting a little bit used to the new system we have as more cars are making the break for pit lane, but still people really struggling with it.
Yeah, big lockup by the 14. That looks to be the driver. Looking for him on here. That's Andrea Fiorini. That's why he was a lap down already, so he comes down pit road, but fairly calm everybody down pit road. Now looking for their boxes. 25 lit up the tires a little bit. You can see the smoke start to dissipate from Nicholas Morse's car, but looks like a fairly successful pit road entry for those guys. But Jarl, you look at him, the leader right now, he's on the outside of the racetrack. He has to pit soon here, Rod, but there's lap traffic in the way. He's got to get to the bottom. He's got to get to the axis.
Yeah, it's crucial, and I don't know if this is going to be the time that he's going to come down, but he's got to be thinking with all this lap traffic, he can't get stuck high, because if you get stuck high, you have nowhere to go. You can't just go cut the nose off or cut down into somebody who's below you. So definitely going through his mind, but really good job, by Patrick Mallett, Logan Kress, Casey Kerwin. They did a much better job than that first group that we saw. So kudos to them on staying ahead of the lead and putting themselves in a position to stay with the lead draft.
And crucially, Rod, they stayed with the lead draft, which they're going to pick up so much time on the cars they're going to be passing, and we saw that in the Saturday race. But that's a huge plus on the delta time for these pit road stops and trying to shave off that time.
Absolutely, and they're probably going to end up being the leaders here because they're going to have all the momentum. Once Jarl comes down and his group, when they're 37 laps in here, approaching 38. So it's got to be this time or next time by. But I imagine they're probably going to be sitting there as leaders.
Yeah, and as we come through turns 1 and 2, you see more cars down on the inside. We looked kind of the left rear shot. We saw David Rattler come down pit road. Also looks like the 19 car and the 10, Jake Nichols, were just passing there. Trey Edson as well. And Kerwin, Kress, and Mallett all going to be past those guys right now. A little bit of a gap. It's timing and scoring should cycle out here, and it is going to probably favor those 3 cars in front of the leaders, as here comes Jarl Tyen, and for pit road this time, everybody behind him. Leahy looks like the number 18. Oh, car in the grass. It's going to be the 37. He's going to have to enter it. That's going to be unsafe pit entry there for the driver of Derek Wood. That's not good.
And it's going to be a bit of a lottery here for Jarl Tyen as well. He put 2 tires in the grass getting onto pit road, so not sure if he's going to have a penalty or not. Led every single lap thus far. Has actually got 1 car who missed his pit box, that bright yellow car. So that's going to be even more time thrown away from him. Just looked like he lost track of his lollipop man. Let's see if Jarl is going to get the get a penalty here or not. 4 tires are down. Yes, he does. So your race leader led every single lap up to this point. He's got to stop and hold.
Yeah, and 21 going to lead him off pit road. That's Brand Davies, familiar colors to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Brandon Pipgrass going to come out second. That's the 18 car. And you got Keegan Leahy, Nicholas Shelton all coming up out of that group. But this right now, coming past him, that's your lead group. Robbie Vrabel Jr. currently leading them. Seth DeMerchant, he was kind of mid-pack when this all kicked off. He's up there as well. You got Pat Mallett. You got the number 3, Casey Kerwin. How about the 27 of Logan Kress? Garrett Lowe, also very crucially in this top pack, Rod, and that means for Lowe, ahead of the points over David Rattler right now, exactly what he needs to be doing.
Exactly. To make the Peak Antifreeze Series, you got to be in the right points position. But Cisco, tell me that practice of Seth the Merchant and these play tracks and coming down green flag pit stops didn't help him there. That's awesome running. Looks like now It's third place, so that's huge.
Yeah, the one car that has seemed to have stayed out so far is Chad Coleman, and I'm not really sure how. He's got to be pitting this time here, Randy. When I talked to Houston Hammer before the beginning of the race here, he told me 35 to 40 laps. Probably going to be your pit window. Chad's continued to stay out during that time frame, so it's got to be this time. He's, I believe, the last car we're waiting on to pit here.
Yeah, unless he's got an EcoBoost engine in that thing or what. I don't know what Chad Coleman is doing. Yeah, maybe. It might be. We might be going to some 1950s style tricks coming up here in that 9 machine, like you said. Hits pit road, but still a good long run for him. And he might drop back a few spots. He was less than, you know, he may not be in that lead pack when he comes off pit road. But I think the fact that he would have gone so much longer than everyone else, he's going to have a nice short final stop, regardless of what happens here. I think I like this from Chad Coleman because that'll give him a bit of an advantage. Got one car spinning onto pit road. That was Jan Bap-Charles, who we saw get lapped a handful of laps ago. That was not a good pit road entry for him.
Yeah, and he's having more troubles trying to get into his pit box right now, but this is your lead group. 2 more cars have tagged onto the rear of it. You got Nick Morse, the number 25. Some lap cars behind him. The 13 looks like is gone with him. That's Colton Davis. Remember, he was in that pack with Tyler Hudson. Hudson actually going to head straight to pit road, so Hudson, more promise for him. I'm not sure this is the run he's wanting to look for here. Of course, just run out there because it's Tyler Hudson. Why not? And you also got David Rattler kind of, he's in a position here, Randy, where he could see Garrett Lowe, but he needs to be in front of Garrett Lowe. There's only 1 point coming into tonight. He cannot afford to lose sight of that one car. Yes, they do have a drop week, but you do not want to be relying on that. If you can be in front of Garrett Lowe, that car you're racing, then you'll be safe.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be ahead of as many cars as you can, but you're right. You want to try to be ahead of him at all possible here. And really, the fact that Rattler's got himself in a good position is going to be nice for him. The fact that he's not totally lost touch with that car, he's a little bit deeper down the order, but he's within the same pack of cars at least. But still, it's not going to be great. As Chad Coleman, who we saw make that late pit stop, he is in fact going to go a lap down. He's going to be
on the lead lap, Randy.
Oh, is he on the lead lap? Oh, I thought he lost a lap. Never mind. What do I know?
It was almost, I'm surprised it worked out as well as it did, but for Coleman, he's going to tag onto the rear of this field. And Rod, it's very rare for a car to come down pit road on his own and be able to cycle out where the leaders are. I don't think he's going to quite be able to hold on to that lead pack, but he will get caught up by David Rattler here. And I'm assuming Rattler's a little bit faster. He's been closing that gap on the leaders. They're going 3 wide in front of him. That's not fun. But David Rattler should be able to push Chad Coleman back into this lead pack here. So the fuel strategy, at least for now for the 9, seemed to have worked.
Yeah, the problem with Chad's strategy is when you don't have that help and you get passed by the lead pack, they're way faster than you, and you run the risk of losing the lead draft because you don't have that second car or third car to help you get that additional momentum. And again, he's going to have a little bit of help here in that second draft there. That's led by the 23 of Tyler Hudson, who's a lap down, but he's going to fall back quite a bit there. So I guess that strategy didn't exactly work. And yeah, you're exactly right, Cisco. Coming down by yourself is not exactly got him a lap led or two, but didn't work out here at this point.
Yeah, no, it is not working out. So the Robbie Vrabel Jr. machine continues to lead this field. You got Seth running second and going a little too wide behind him. That's Logan Kress. Seth's going to decide, I'm hopping on this bandwagon right now. And Seth going to try and get a push from Logan Kress. You see G Fuel entry pushing Seth's very familiar number 4 car out to the lead. And guess what? Seth the Merchant back in a familiar spot to the lead at Daytona, the driver of the 4.
What a good run for that 4 car. 24th now, up to leading laps here at Daytona. Another driver who's done a good job is Logan Kress, who pushed him up there. 38th up to that 2nd spot. So for those drivers that we saw with decent qualifying spots, even that pole position, opted to start down on pit road, maybe starting in the back of a field like this shouldn't quite be so scary.
Nah, I don't think so. And for Kress, it's been a case of he's been around, kind of hanging around this first chunk of the race. Wasn't there at the beginning, but 4 laps to go before we hit halfway here at Daytona, and has done an excellent job to work his way to the front of this pack. And keep in mind, that 13 car you're seeing on screen, that car is in fact a lap down. He's not with the leaders right now, and that's Colton Davis. I was looking for him on the timing sheet there, and Davis was, remember, started from pit road, Rod, and was hoping that there would be an early yellow. There has not been an early yellow. And for Davis, it could be backfired mode. Yes, he is, I think, technically the first car 1 lap down, but this has a very green and clean feel to it.
Yeah, it definitely does, and you know, that's the strategy we talked about. It's you're banking on that wreck, and it has not happened. These guys have raced very clean all night. You know, keeping it pretty much 2 wide, single file up front. You know, we've seen a little bit of a challenge from the lead throughout, but you know, I as we talked about Logan Kress, very impressive. You know, I've been watching him come through the field. He was one of those low line guys. He just stuck to the low line, inching up. He was, you know, in the 20s and into the teens. So now he's running P3 and challenging for you know second and up there high, as he's going to get a little help from Robbie Vrabel, who wants to challenge Seth DeMerch there for the lead. Cisco.
Yeah, Robbie up to the top side, going to try and make the pass happen. They'll go side by side for the lead as they head down the short chute towards turn number 1. Also keep in mind that 1 car fighting for a lot of points on the line, and for Garrett here, Randy, you have to think he's hopped on board the Specs team here. And very late team change for Lowe. Got a little bit of help last week going into the race, but apart from that, separated from his former team. That's always a big toss-up in the air. When a driver leaves a team, is he going to be able to find help quickly? He's got a teammate in Nicholas Morse right now, so you have to think those two working together here in the draft. And for Lowe, it looks like he's landed on solid ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a big gamble, especially when you're talking about a racetrack like this coming up at Daytona. I don't know if I would do the same thing. You see everyone opting to get back down to that low line here, where that I don't know what has happened. I don't know if famine has happened, but that top groove has completely dried up here. 1 more car going down low, so not sure what's going on, but 1 driver now getting all low. Is that Garrett up there? No, it's Logan Kress, who's now just going to fall like a stone as everyone has gotten themselves locked against that yellow line here. But like you said, with Garrett swapping teams, I don't know if I would switch teams knowing that Daytona was coming up in just a couple of weeks. I may wait until after that, ensuring that I had some help, but he probably knows a little bit better than I do, considering he's running in the top 10.
Yeah, Lowe doing an excellent job right now, looking to maybe get past his teammate. No, they got a little bit loose there. It was a very big push by Brandon Pipgrass there in the 18, the Slip Angle Motorsports machine. And Garrett had to get out of the throttle a little bit. Car got a little bit away from him here, but we're close enough to halfway, and they're running single file right now, so let's try and get this done before they start passing people. But right now we're going to take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leader in online racing simulation and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Global Rallycross, and many more series, of course, here on the service. Robbie Vrabel Jr. continuing to lead. Seth the Merchant runs 2nd. 3rd is Patrick Mallett. 4th, Casey Kerwin. 5th going to be Logan Kress. 6th to Nicholas Morse. 7th to Garrett Lowe. 8th going to go to Brandon Pipgrass. 9th to Keegan Leahy. Nicholas Shelton rounds out your top 10, Randy.
Brad Davies, he's going to find himself in 11th. David Rattler, 12th. Trey Edson in 13th. Jake Nichols, 14th. Chad Coleman, 15th. Glenn Rockenfeller, 16th. Dallas Pasaka, 17th. 18th, Jacob Haberts, with Michael Cadeau and James Milbacher rounding out the top 20.
Yeah, Milbacher riding in that 20th spot, 11 spots up from where he started. 21st going to be Ruckman. 22nd, Steve Wilson the third. Michael Guest running 23rd. Braden Boulos running 24th. Nathan Lyon 25th. Kane Cook 26th. Adam de Blasio running 27th. 28th going to go to Brandon Wilkinson. Eric Smith running 29th, and Jarl Tyan is running 30th.
Finishing it out, Mitchell Hunt in 31st, Michael Garugli at 32nd, Derek Wood 33rd, 34th, Ben Nelson, and Adam Benefiel rounds out the top 35. Those are the cars on the lead lap. Then you have Colton Davis, Ryan Dessette, Alex Bergeron, Andre Farini, John Bott Charles, and Tyler Hudson. They round out the 41 cars that are in this one as we come back to regular coverage. Rod, I have to ask, we just saw everyone go single file for about 3 or 4 laps. Like, people worked hard to get to that low line, and now they're immediately jumping back up top. Why do people do that? Because I've seen that several times.
You know, I don't know. It's a good observation. You know, it's interesting that they, you know, there's a full line of 21 cars there for a second, and yeah, I think you just get impatient. You know, you're following the car in front of you. You get, you know, when you have a line of cars single file, you just get a little bit of a boost because you have the car behind you that's got the momentum and pushing you. You're getting a draft of the car in front of you there, and you know, why not go out there and pass? You know, it's been clean all night, and everybody seems to be you know, racing you know, at least to the point now we're not too crazy. So, you know, I think we're now in the second half of the race, and it seems like, you know, they're definitely a lot more racing than they were in the first 10 or 20 laps. So, you know, I think it just you know, we're getting closer and closer to that end of the finish and that checkered flag. So I think it's just the racers that are coming out in them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robbie Brable Jr. continuing to hold serve over the rest of the field. Seth's running second, and that lead taken away from him. Robbie was able to make the move on the outside. Caution flag gonna fly, and it all goes out the window. Yep, the 39, Mitchell Hunt, spinning going into turn 3, and big time issues to bring out our first caution of the night. And just like that, all that general racing probably gonna go out the window here, Randy.
Probably. Just looking at the incident, just looks like Mitchell just got spun around. I don't know if he didn't look like it was much of a bumper hut coming from Michael. He didn't really cut across the rear bumper of Mitchell very much. He caught it a little bit, so I'm a little surprised that light of contact sent the 39 around, but that's going to be bad news bears for Mitchell, who, to have something big like that happen at this stage in the championship isn't very nice.
No, and Mitchell had been tearing it up in the second split of the series, won a couple races there, but was just making inroads into the top split, and unfortunately for him, doesn't look like it's going to work out off the front bumper of our own Michael Guerrilla. So we'll have to talk to him this weekend here and find out what happened there. But yep, a little bit of hook off the bumper brings out our first caution flag of the night, and that's going to slow everybody back down. That also means pit stops probably going to be on the docket for a lot of these cars, and it's gonna be close here, Rod, because we know the max fuel window, as seen by Chad Coleman, was 40 laps, maybe 41 if you're really lucky, but most guys aren't going to be even doing that. I get the feeling Coleman was about half clutching that car at some cases and just using the pack to let him push. So we're outside the fuel window as it sits right now. We'll need another yellow if we're going to finish this on this fuel tank.
Yeah, it's definitely not in the pit window yet, and that's scary. You know, you have to come down, or I guess you don't have to, but you certainly. It's always good to have max fuel in the race car, because if you get a few cautions, it just becomes a caution-filled race. You know, you could make up laps under caution, which would be good, but definitely not the right timing. Probably would have liked to have this happen about 10 laps further.
Well, pit stops are open, and they're super busy right now. Everybody deciding to come down pit road. A couple cars you can see on the outside there staying out, and it looks like lap cars looking at the paint schemes of those. But everybody heading for the pit stalls here. And Randy, does anybody try 2 tires?
Perhaps. We got a couple of cars missing pit road. I think if I would have been in this one, just with the situation on fuel, I think I might have actually just opted to stay out, but that's probably why I'm not in the top split of a pro. So we got a couple cars taking 2. Seth took 2. So some brave callers out there already going for the tire strategy here in this one.
Yeah, Seth took 2. Glenn Rockefeller Jr., I think, rolled through pit road because I don't think he could have gotten 4 tires and come out second. Third, Keegan Leahy. You see basically all the cars listed at 7.8 or higher or lower, or kind of around that mark of pit stops. They all took 2 tires. So you got Keegan Leahy on 2. You got Brandon Pipgrass, Cato Rattler on 2. You also got Trey Edson also on 2 tires. Looking down the list a little bit further, Brandon Wilkinson going to take 2 as well. Nicholas Shelton 10.5, maybe a little trouble getting into the pit box, but apart from that, 2 tires for the driver of the number 2. Everybody else, it looked like, took 4. And Rod, I'm going to come to you here on this because you've driven the Cup car on the plate tracks more than I think a lot of people on the service. Are tires really an issue on this?
2 tires is the way to go. You know, you can get enough fuel in the car to you know, within that time frame and have just a little bit left before have enough time to change at least the left side tires. I would say it's probably ill-advised to take right side tires at the moment, but left side tires for sure. Why not? You know, get that extra grip. But if we get down to the point here where we're going to need that extra fuel or quick stop for that splash and go at the end of this race, obviously you would not want to take any tires. So definitely agree with the decision of Seth the Merchant there. He came out first and taking 2 tires.
And Rod, do you come down and splash and go the car and just start praying that you can make it, or are you going to bank on another caution here?
It depends. You know, there's a lot of things can happen here. You know, we're within that point where if we can get, yeah, it's just going to take a few more cautions for you to feel like you can maybe make it. I just feel like, you know, with the way this race has been going, it's been pretty clean. I think they're probably going to be in a position where it's going to be a splash and go at the end there, Cisco.
Well, it's going to be a splash and go, Randy, and that means we could see green flag pit stops come back into the equation. And this kind of caution came at right about the halfway point, so we know that it's only going to be one more stop regardless if it's a splash and dash. They're going to need a lot more caution laps if they're going to make it. I think they'll need at least one, if not two, caution to make it on the current fuel load. So it's going to be close. I'm curious to know how much saving Chad Coleman was doing and how much fuel he saved, because that would play into this equation, because I thought we were towards more of the 38 laps before we actually got someone who did 41. So you got to think the crew chiefs on these boxes, and keep in mind, this is the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series. I guarantee you there are crew chiefs on the boxes, whether it be, some of the guys out of the slip angle camp. I know Ray's watching. I know Houston Hammer, of course, on the pit box for some of the dead zone drivers. You got David Rattler has mentioned his crew chief support in the past. You got to know those crew chiefs out there with the calculators, Randy, telling their driver, save me everything you can.
Yeah, there's not going to be very many people in this split that don't have any sort of help whatsoever, as I think we should be getting the one to go here in just a moment once the field cycles past the start-finish line, and indeed the lights are going to go out. We're going to be reforming these guys up, and in just a couple minutes we'll be back to green flag racing. And like you said, there's still a lot of guys on pit road really working here. It's interesting to see if we have any late takers to come down pit road, do one last second fill, and that's one thing we're seeing. I think Kane Cook's coming down. We have a couple drivers who are at the very end, and this is going to be an interesting point because we saw 40 laps earlier, 42 to go to the end. I think for these guys that just came down right here, they're going to be at the very, very end of the pack, but I think there is potential for them if they really save hard, and if we go green to the end, that they can just stretch this. So those are going to be people to watch.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Seth has his already own devoted cheering section in the comments section, because he's got Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Michael Cozy Jr. both cheering him on in the comments.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. Rod, of course, very familiar with those two gentlemen as well. Got a little bit of a cheer going for David Rattler. No hashtag Clamp Nation, though, so Logan
Well, he's not in the race.
Well, yeah, but he usually still wins the chat anyway, so now that I said it, maybe we'll see some of those.
He is working for sets, so...
Yes, that is the case, and I do know Logan is in fact sick this evening, so we wish him all the best.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk to him about being in the booth tonight, but he is very sniffly, and you can tell. So, Logan, we wish you all the best. We hope you get better in the future. But your top 10 goes as follows. Seth the Merchant, Brandon Pipgrass, Mikael Cato. You got Keegan Leahy as well up there. David Rattler, Nicholas Morse, Patrick Mallett, Robbie Vrabel Jr., Casey Kerwin, Trey Edson. Round out your top 10 is the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car. Gonna run away and get to the safety of pit road. American Ethanol restart coming here, and Seth the Merchant on the loud pedal. Green flag back in the air.
Here's another good clean restart. They work themselves through the tri-oval and toward the high banks here in 1 and 2, and Seth the Merchant looks just keen on being able to lead the way here with Keegan Lee giving a shove on that bottom side. Not a good run though for Brandon up on that top side in that well, he started in the second spot, but he's dropping like a bit of a rock. Doesn't quite have the momentum to slingshot around the outside, but he comes down the back, that Daytona super stretch. He's going to be working that momentum driving down the hill, and he's going to pass a couple cars before they get to 3 and 4.
And how about Mikael Cato making his presence known at the front of this field? Has definitely kind of lurked around the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series, and now trying to make this his opportunity to get to the front of your field. Right now running in that 4th spot. Big time push to Brandon Pipgrass, and Pipgrass looking for the lead as they come across the start finish line. Seth though holding on to it.
So once again, they all come through here. They're still just fighting for that race lead right now. And I think right now, Cisco, we're going to get a little bit more physical racing than what we saw in that first half. With this caution, it's reset so deep in the field. I think most of these guys are going to be expecting to not be able to make this. I think people are going to be getting a lot more aggressive, trying to get track position as they come down and prepare for that little final splash and dash.
And Rod, we're going to talk a lot about those leaders, but also Casey Kerwin, Trey Edson kind of sitting in this mid-pack here. They're about, 5-6 cars out of line from the lead here. What do you do as a driver kind of stuck in, in kind of no man's land right now? 9th, 10th, 8th, 7th, something like that. What do you need to do to get yourself to the front?
Well, it's been the low line. It's been successful all night. It's been, we saw, how guys like Logan Kress, did a great job in the low line earlier in the race and making up all those positions. I'd find my way low, just keep myself in line. That's the best place to escape if a wreck happens in front of you. You have to find your way back to the front some way. And if that high line, which has shown an inability to work most of the race, that's going to be the best place to go to find your way up front.
Yes, it is, and 2 cars still trying to make it work on the outside. Cato's trying to make it happen, but not able to get a whole lot done on the outside, and only 2 cars. There's only a limit to what they can do out there. Help coming, though. It's Nicholas Morrison, the 25. We've seen him use that outside a little bit here, Randy. Not surprised at all. The Specs car heading up towards the front of your field.
And not a surprise at all as that top side is starting to get much more formed up here as they come off of corner number 2 and down the back straightaway. Still 38 laps to go. There might be a little bit of patience. And of course, it's important to keep in mind that there might be people running in the back who just came down for that last little bit of fuel before we got that one to go signal that might be thinking of making it here. Though there's still people we really need to keep an eye on if we stay green, because it's going to be tight. They're going to be dark horses. We just got to change the race lead as Brandon Plotgrass able to plop himself into that race lead. It's going to be interesting to see, though, if those guys, if it stays green, can somehow, some way coast their way to the end.
That's going to be a nickname that sticks for a while. But Seth the Merchant, he was leading this field for a little while, Rod, and because this has turned basically into a 200-mile-an-hour fuel mileage race, if you're Seth the Merchant now, you were leading this field for a while. Do you save as much as you can while you have someone in front of you?
Yeah, to a certain extent. You can only do so much. You can flip the throttle a little bit there when you're following somebody, but you also have a responsibility there when you're especially pushing them, the guy who's in the lead, to keep them in the lead, because last thing you want is that high side, exactly what we're seeing right now. Mikhail Cato go into the lead, drop down in front of the 18 of Pipgrass, and now you're third in line. So Seth's not liking what he's seeing, and I doubt he's letting off the accelerator there. So just a game of you want to keep as ahead as you can, and right now that didn't work for Seth.
It looks to me, Randy, like that bottom line's starting to say, well, I say that, Seth just jumped to the outside, but a lot of speed on that top line right now as Nicholas Morse, technically your leader. Hasn't dropped down yet, though, and probably looking to try and bring the number 16 of Robbie Vrabel Jr. with him. That's what he does. 2 cars able to make the pass, and first time we've been able to see that tonight.
Yeah, it's a very good move there. I don't know what's going on with this bottom groove. I don't know if they're just going into fuel save mode or what that situation is. Rod might be able to expand on that, but you're right. It's like that bottom groove is just like withered away. It's like no one has any power down there, as we're still seeing it shortly drop away. So Rod, what do you think's happening? Why is that bottom line falling away the way it is out of nowhere?
Now, these cars are getting difficult to handle. We know there's a lot of guys who are on 2 tires, and I think what's ended up happening right now is these guys are as you enter the corner with that angle on the low line at the sharper angle, the car starts handling a lot more ill, and so you end up having to wheel the car a little bit more, let off the brakes a little bit there to make the corner a little bit more smoother if your car is under or out of control a little bit. That could be what's going on, and it is harder to control this car when you're side by side. So that's the only thing I think of it, because again, if you're on the high line, you're going to have a better angle into the corner, which is going to keep the car handling a little better. So that's what I'm thinking, and that's kind of what I felt when I'm in that situation.
Well, we've come back to the single car train here, and everybody's hopped on that bottom line. So I think we're kind of in the case where the storm has settled, at least for a moment. Now we're going to actually get to kind of go through the middle of your pack and talk about some of the guys up on the top side, because Chad Coleman still hanging around here. It looks like Kerwin has decided he doesn't want to stick around on the bottom side anymore. But you got Coleman, you got Steven Wilson up there on the top side. Haven't been able to talk about him a whole lot lately. Marcus Ruckman, Kane Cook, the 30 of Benjamin Nelson, who, Randy, remember, not that long ago was spinning on the pit road. So it was not a good pit road entry, rather. He missed pit road, I should say. But the driver of the 30 has been able to rebound. He's got himself back into 21st. So a excellent recovery for Benjamin Nelson there.
It's always nice when you can make a mistake like that at Daytona, and once you get a caution that sort of bails you out and you can still be in this thing. There's a handful of guys who really at the start of this race are running around this point in the mid-pack. You also have Colton Davis, pole sitter, who we talked about the fact that he went down a lap so early. He got that lucky dog, and now he's back on that lead lap. So for him, he's going to be pretty happy about that as well. Another one of someone who we thought was going to be a contender early, who's stuck here about 20th on back.
Yeah, and Davis has to do a lot of work to get back up to the front. And remember, he was our pole sitter this evening, chose to start from pit road. So Colton Davis having to make up for lost time. And it looks like right now he's flying by a bunch of cars. That outside line's starting to get a little bit hooked up there on the top side, because more hopping on the train. You got Eric Smith, you got Pat Mallett, of course we documented Casey Currow, and now it looks like Kress and DeMerchant up to the top side. So all of a sudden, hey guys, guess what? The low line isn't cool anymore. Get on the cool line. It's the top side, and hello, 32. Eric Smith changes lanes there and got about 2 spots. That was a move.
Yeah, it was a nice aggressive move there, picking up a couple spots. These things are getting a lot more dicey here up near the front of this field, and that whenever you start seeing that happen, it starts to put you in the mindset of, I have a feeling this is not going to end under green. One other car to talk about, though, that stuck down in that mid-pack, we have Jarl Tien in the 6th. I saw him have big issues getting down onto pit road. He's in 27th right now. Keep in mind, he led every single lap pretty much up until a certain point. Jarl was dominant out there at the front of the field. I think he's someone not to forget about as well.
Yeah, Tyen led until he came down pit road. Now going to have to make it all back up, as does Colton Davis. But Nicholas Morse getting challenged for the lead once again. Robbie Vrabel on the top side. You got the 27, Logan Kress up there as well. And the 32, Eric J. Smith, who has basically been the guy getting a lot of these cars, doing a lot of the grunt work on that top side, getting them to the front. Now has his opportunity to get to the front of the field and lead some of this thing. He's right behind Mikael Cato. Nicholas Morse there on that bottom side, but side by side they continue. So we'll complete lap number 70 this time at the line, Randy.
And Logan Kress just played with fire a little bit, getting down to the inside. He sort of hesitated, and he almost got a little bit of a tap from Nathan Lyon. I think he got a little bit loose because of it, but Logan's able to hold on to that car. So very close here as people are getting so aggressive here as they're starting to get feisty out at front. A couple drivers, we're going to have 2 or 3 lead changes through this 2.5-mile circuit. This car spinning in the background. We're not going to finish this one of the grand. Jan Bass Charles involved, as well as Adam DeBlasso.
Yeah, de Blasio looks like issues for the DuPont Chevrolet. We'll get a second look, but wow. Rod, you can throw fuel mileage out the window, and it looked like it was an issue back in the rear field. Matt Charles and de Blasio were kind of at the rear field, I think, waiting for something to break out, and instead it broke out in that pack.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened on the first caution. Is a bump to the right rear of the rear bumper, and that's a no-no. That's the most unstable place to bump somebody. If you want to bump somebody, you want to try to make it in the middle and or to the left side of the car. And it looks like didn't work out there at this point. It looks like. Looking at the car involved, I think it was Alex Bergeron, and Ryan Duchette, who was involved in pushing Adam DeBlasio. So it's unfortunate there, but again, it's a similar type of incident that we saw earlier.
And with Bab Charles, he went to the grass to try and avoid that and locked up the tires. That's why we saw him kind of out of control there and just barely grazed Ryan Duchette there in the 33, but that'll be off the nose of Ryan here. That'll slow us down for a second time this evening. Been relatively caution-free this race, but Randy, I'm seeing a lot of cars staying out, and that tells me that fuel at this point, you can throw it out the window. We're good to the end. Not a lot of guys coming and heading for pit road. You see Steven Wilson, the bright blue car. You can hardly miss him. He's going to stay out here, and I'm looking for guys who are coming down pit road. I think the 41, Marcus Ruckman, going to be one of the few Also, looked like I saw one other car. It was a black car down.
There's about a half dozen coming down. I think this is one of those situations. I think this is one of those situations where if you're deep down on this lead pack, you want to do whatever the cars in front of you didn't do. So if you thought that if it's so borderline right now with that caution, and I think people are banking on another one. I think that if you were in the back of the field, if everyone in front of you pit, I think you should have just taken the gamble on track position and stayed out. Especially if you're in a weird place with the championship, might as well just throw that Hail Mary, pick up that track position. Maybe you can pick up a cheeky win and end up getting your way into the championship. But at the same time, if all those guys in front of you take the gamble and stay out, just come down pit road, top it up. You're not worried about track position. You're gambling on a bunch of cars ahead of you running out of fuel regardless. I like this by these guys that they saw so many leaders not come down pit road that they opted to, and I think that's a good call.
Hud gonna get the wave around there. That'll put Hudson back on the lead lap, and behind Fiorini and Doucette, who I believe are still on pit road getting service to their vehicles. I think Doucette getting some damage repaired. Actually, he's hopped out of that car, so it looks like night over him. Also, de Blasio has pulled his car behind the wall, as has Mitchell Hunt. Remember, Hunt was the victim of our first caution there, got spun around in a very similar manner. But apart from that, Rod, we've got 38 cars on your lead lap. That is a massive field here, and we got to go about 26 laps or so under green. I don't know if you have your dice ready, but what are your odds on that one?
That's going to be tough for anybody who's in the back of the pack. It's a long ways to go, and that's a lot of cars that are in front of you. You know, especially if you're the 38 of Andre Fleury or Tyler Hudson. That's going to be tough. So, but what I've been looking at, I got my calculator out here, and I'm looking at this fuel mileage. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to make it potentially 41 laps on fuel. You know, when we're looking at the guys, because the leaders have been on the track, and the guys up here in the top 10, top 15, 17 laps without a stop, and so it's going to be borderline. And we had a lot of those guys who came in, you know, on one to go with that last caution. So I'm still not convinced they can make it. It's certainly going to be close, but definitely one more caution we would be able to make it.
And this, Randy, actually flashes me back to the RSR finale last year, 2017. David Comstock ran out of fuel coming out of turn 4 at Homestead and coasted that car across the line. It sounds like it's going to be borderline in Daytona. This track is a lot longer than your normal cookie cutter, or even a short track here. If you run out going into 3 and 4, you're probably not going to make it to the start finish line here. And if you're in a pack, that can spell only one thing, and that's disaster.
Well, you'll make it to the line, but you'll make it to the line about 30 or so spots below where you were running before you ran out of gas. So yeah, it's not very good. So yeah, it's one of those. I don't know. Daytona's always a crapshoot when the yellows fall like this with fuel. It's one of the, you know, I'm sort of in Rod's position. If they were nervous about making it the last point, to me it doesn't make much sense to pit at that last stop unless you're confident you can make it, and it was just sort of in that weird phase where I'm not confident they could make it from there, which is why I would have stayed out at that point, and why pitting at this point would have made so much sense for those guys in the back. But I don't know. It's going to be a tough one as the lights go out on this iRacing safety car, and I hope it stays green to the end, because it'll be so much fun watching people run out of gas, because you know some people will.
Oh boy, Randy's wishing people run out of gas. I
like to see dreams get crushed.
Oh boy, so if you want to send the hate mail, you can at Chenstrap on Twitter for that one. So just send the hate mail his way if you do in fact run out of fuel. But the top 10 rolls through as follows. Miguel Cato up there on the top side. Him and Eric Smith are going to be on the front row for the restart here. Logan Crest, Nick Morse 3rd and 4th. Nathan Lyon 5th. 6th is Robbie Vrabel Jr. and Brandon Pipgrass back there as well. Keegan Leahy, Seth the Merchant, Pat Mallett round out your top 10, and about 20 or so hungry guys behind them as well. And keep in mind, Ryan Doucette is still technically on the lead lap as well, so he's by no means out of this as well, though he has gotten some severe repairs done to his number 33 Ford Fusion. But pace car gets ready to head through 3 and 4, and Randy, it's got to be a good restart by Eric here to grab that lead away here from Mikhail, who's been very good lately in terms of getting to the front.
I actually think that that's the exact opposite you want to do. I think if you're Eric Smith, you want to feign a bad restart and lose that race lead. The fact that the fuel we know is so close, you don't want to be that lead car out in front. And because I think if you just put the pedal to the metal, there's no way you can make it from here. So I think right now, if you're Eric, yeah, you need to get to the line, but you want to quickly be swallowed up as the pace car gets ready to turn on a pit road.
I like it. Shake and bake your way to the lead. Let's see if it happens. Pace cars down, green flags back in the air, and no, that's what the 31 did, but it's not what the 32 did. Green flag back in the air, and wheel spin and accordion up on the top side.
A lot of wheel spinning up there with the old tires, and that 31 car is getting a bit of a push here as they run through 1 and 2. So maybe these guys are a little bit more confident on the fuel than we're giving them credit for as they work themselves through 1 and 2 and on towards that Daytona super stretch for the 75th time. Going to be 25% distance left in this one here in about a mile and a half. And let's see if Eric J. Smith gets out of the way and lets people in front of him to get that dirty air.
It's almost like he's laying back and letting Morse just push him to the lead as they head back into turn number 3. Morse was all over the rear deck lid of the 32, but he was able to hold on to it as kind of a 4-car breakaway. Now Cato going to drop back in line, goes from 2nd to 5th on the restart. It's going to be a lot of work that he's going to have to do to get back to the front, but weaving around all over the place is that 25. He wants to go, and Robbie also a little bit impatient behind him, and the accordion effect is on. And Rod, I think the leader's saving a little bit of gas here. The question is, though, is that going to stack up the rest of your cars here?
Yeah, if you think you're, if you think you need to save fuel and the guy behind you is willing to check up with you, yeah, that's a great strategy because you're the one burning up the most fuel up there up front. Eric Smith, he is burning up the most fuel, so I guess it only really helps the guys behind him too. Nicholas Morse is going to end up being a beneficiary. So is Robbie Vrabel. I want to go back to that start though. Michael Cato, I think he just got caught sleeping up there. That's the most annoying thing, especially if you're the car right behind him. Is you can anticipate this green. It comes out right around the same spot every time, and it's it is tough, but kudos to Eric Smith getting that good jump, and he's certainly leader at this point.
I want to know how Cozy has 2 accounts in the chat. That's kind of odd, but Mikel Cato now goes back up to the top side. A little bit of help from Casey Kerwin up there now, and Kerwin kind of been dormant this middle portion of the race here, Randy, but of course the driver who I'd argue has had the most successful NASCAR iRacing Pro Series, looking for more here on that top side.
Oh, your race leader, Eric, that was almost a fantastic way to throw away a race. He went to go to the top side and cut off that momentum, but he waited to do it way too late. Too much speed on that top groove, and we almost saw the entire field pretty much get taken out in this one. I understand the move, wanted to keep that race lead, but you need to do it a little bit earlier than that to allow that driver that's charging behind you to check up.
We were on board with the 32 there when that all transpired. You saw the 32 shake out a line. Now let's show you what happened here on the LSRTV replay. And it was Eric Smith went to the top side and got a tap there from Robbie Vrabel. Had to dirt track the car to hold on to it. It was an amazing save by the driver of the 32. We'll go 3 wide right now as we return to live pictures.
Oh man, that was nerve-wracking right there. These guys are jockeying for position back and forth right now. We see drivers in the background going from the top to the bottom, people up near the front going from the bottom to the top. That was Patrick Mallett who jumped up to take the lead of that top row, and he seems to be confident on his fuel economy. He's got that right foot pinned to the floor. He's getting a bit of a push coming up now, equal with your leaders.
Yeah, it's a very good push right now, and Mallett on the move, and he's got help from one of the fastest cars in this pack, Seth the Merchant. That's the guy who I'd be helping me, Rod. If I was looking for any car to push me to the front, that 4 car's been doing it all night. The only one else up there who's really been able to do it just got shaken out of the lead. So I think Seth's the biggest friend to everybody out there right until he passes you.
Yeah, Seth will get you up there. He will push you and he will get you to the right position, but he'll be the first one to take you 3 wide too if you leave that hole just a little bit open. So you got to watch your back when he's drafting you, and that would be my advice to Patrick Mallett if I was him. But Seth's got him to the lead, and it looks like that high line's working. Back to that move that Eric Smith made. The momentum, blocking that momentum of that high line. I think he just did it too late, just like Randy said. Man, just a heartbreaker for him and taking away the lead in that race.
And he does fall back to 13th, but Randy, that could have been much worse. It's great. He's running 13th, but he's still got a car left. That was a case where that could have been field gone right there.
Yeah, him and about 20 other people around him still have cars left, because like I said, that wouldn't have just been him that would have been down on towards pit road. That would have involved a lot of the front runners and really shaking things up, as we're going to hit the 20 lap to go mark right now. So this is the point where these guys, they've pretty much made their bed. They got to set in it. Won this fuel economy. These guys up front, they seem super, super confident they can make it to the end, and I think this is where, if a yellow comes out and we aren't going to make it to the end on green, I think it'll come out within the next 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, it'll have to. And I just noticed Steven Wilson starting to make his way into this picture. He was around kind of at the beginning of this thing, kind of fell into kind of the middle pack here throughout the Pro Series. Now he's back and he's looking for more. And right now running 14th, but he's got a lot of help from another one of those Specs drivers behind him. That's Jacob Herberts in the number 11 car. Did not have a good race last week, but looking to try and rebound as much as he can, running 15th. This is kind of the second pack trying to rejoin that first pack here, Rod.
Yeah, the car I'm looking at right now is Colton Davis. Started on the pole, fell back, and look, he is P6. So, you know, he's found his way back around the pack, made up that lap, and he's going to be challenging for the lead here pretty soon, Cisco. But, you know, really good job. You know, I want to give a shout-out to Robbie Vrabel, because I've been impressed, and he's been up front pretty much the entire race. He's been able to position his car high, low, doing a great job leading this race. So, you know, I'm impressed.
And I don't want to say anything, Randy, but as Bossman pointed out in chat, we still have not had the big one yet.
I mean, we haven't even had a multi-car incident. Yeah, no, we haven't even had a multi-car incident, really. I mean, the two incidents we've had were just identical, of just a slight awkward bumper hook, and that was it's just one or two cars taken out in those incidents. And right now, the only two, I mean, those two cars that got bumper hooked are the only two cars that aren't on the lead lap. So we haven't lost a lot of cars, and we haven't had a lot of drivers fall off the lead lap. They're going to be 3 wide for the lead. Robbie Vrabel Jr. is getting swallowed up in the middle, and we're going to see Nick Morris try to work that top side in towards 3 and 4, and he squeezes, or gets squeezed, excuse me, by Nick Morris on that top side, and Chad Coleman, he's going to try to tilt on to that lead down low.
And Rod, we've seen 3 wide works at Talladega, but Daytona with the safer barrier on the top side, that's a lot closer quarters than the sister track in Alabama.
It is so tight when that happens, and there is no space. When you get to that high line there, you're basically, it's a one-way ticket to the back of the pack. And I'll tell you, Robbie is lucky he escaped there, and you know, he made a similar move that we saw earlier there with Eric Smith, but you know, he luckily didn't drop back as far, but so he's still sitting P3, P4 here. So, oh man, just making me nervous here. I'm used to doing this every Friday night.
And I think the nail's starting to get chewed away by Rod there, but side by side for the lead, nearly door contact between Brandon Pipgrass on the top side. They'll drag race it to the line. Pipgrass not going to have it that time. If it was going to be at the line, scoring wasn't even telling me how close they were going to be. It was nulled out. So that would have been very close, but Pipgrass on the top side with help from Robbie Vrabel and the 13 of Colton Davis.
Going to come down this Daytona Super Stretch once again, and it's interesting you mentioned that name right there, that 13 car, Colton Davis. We saw him take the pole position tonight, opt to start from pit road, went a lap down, and he was basically the last car running when we got that field reset, when we got that very first caution. He's now worked himself up to this lead group, running 5th, 6th, depending on how the scoring wants to work out here, as Brandon Pipgrass is going to plop himself back into the race lead here of this one for the second time tonight, and now Robbie Vrabel Jr. going to be back in command of this top groove, and let's see if Colton can give Robbie a bit of a push and get him fighting for that race lead as we approach 10 to go.
And Pipgrass very much in the championship. Well, I say championship, in the advanced group. He's running 6th coming into tonight in your top 10 in points, so he very much needs to have a good night here and a good finish. Also, we talked about him earlier. How about David Rattler up there as well? The 26 has worked his way back to the lead here, Rod, and drivers coming back at the right time. This is when you need to be up front, because this race quickly coming to its conclusion here. Only 14 to go at the line.
Yeah, I've always been a fan. If you can be in the top 5, 6 cars, you've got a shot, because if they wreck in front of you, one or two are going to survive, and you want to be that one or two cars to survive. I've won a couple races that way in that same situation. So, and very, very impressive to see again. The 26. You're exactly right. Seeing him up there and what David Rattler said. He's gone front to back, and he's made his way back up to third place there. Getting a little challenge from Seth the Virgin. I'm surprised Seth went back up high, but again, we're starting to see the aggression level go up, and this is just awesome racing.
Yeah, this has been fantastic racing all night long, but Brandon Pipgrassen, he's been around this series. Randy has been running very well. I mean, he wouldn't be in the top 10 if he wasn't, but it's not a name that we've said has been winning races, but he's been around, he's run consistently, and in this points format, that's the best thing you can do right now, and maybe waiting for the perfect time to peak, because if you're peaking at the end of this series, that could very well get you your ticket into peak.
That really is the situation. The aid of Keegan Lee, he's going to get a run on that top side. And talking about that, I think that's going to affect some of the aggression we see towards the end of this race. I think some of these drivers, for example, if you're Colton Davis, if you're Brandon Pipgrass, I honestly don't think you're going to be all that aggressive trying to hold this race lead. It's okay if you finish third, fourth, fifth in line. It's those guys that are on the bubble, the people, the Garrett Lowe's, the Will Cooley's, Liam Brockton, Jacob Harberts, those people that are just close to being on the outside looking in or are on the outside looking in, they're going to be the aggressive drivers. As we see Chad Coleman, he gets a shove to get himself to the race lead. So that black number 9, hopefully Josh Chin and Chad will be satisfied because he's going fast.
Yeah, he's going very fast right now as Chad Coleman. But I think that X Factor, Rod, is going to be that 4 car has been so fast out of the gate, and he doesn't care about points. He's going out there to win this thing. What do you think Seth does here?
I was a little critical of his decision to go up high, but we've seen, as these runs go on and these tires wear off a little bit, the high line starts working a lot more. It's just going to be tough. Seth's definitely capable of making his way up front, and again, I think if he's in that top 5, he certainly is going to have a shot. What I'm looking at right now is the car that has a little bit more, the cars that have a little bit more fuel, and that's back to 28th position. Adam Benefel, Glenn Rockefeller Jr., Derek Wood. I almost think they could be the beneficiaries, and they could be sitting here on a golden ticket to the win if this thing goes green. I'm just watching these laps count down, and I don't think that these leaders can make it.
And so the stage is set with 10 laps to go at the line. Chad Coleman leads the field. This has been the most fuel-efficient Ford and fuel-efficient car out in this field. So I think sitting in a very good position is that driver. But now to the outside, Brandon Pipgrass trying to make it happen. And Keegan Leahy, who has been so dominant in this series, and we've seen him drive so quickly. He's got sponsorship on board, and he's looking for more up on that top side. The X Factor, of course, Seth the Merchant on that top side. You got David Rattler trying to race his way into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, going back to the series for him. Steven Wilson, another driver kind of on the bubble outside a little bit, just trying to make things happen. You got Jacob Harberts up there as well, looking to rebound after last week. And heck, why not even throw in Nathan Lyon in the 28? All these cars looking for more. 9 laps to go at the line, Randy.
I think that 17 is Steven Wilson. He's going to be the really aggressive driver to watch. He came into this race 16th in the points, 6 spots on the outside looking in, and I think he needs a win in order to get enough points to be safe here. So Brandon Pipgrass, he's going to just about have the lead. He had the opportunity to drop down, opted not to, maybe trying to somehow bring Keegan with him, but I think Steven Wilson, he might be really aggressive, but at the same time, he might just off the good points finish, think that bank on the fact that could potentially be enough. As Brandon's going to go low, he's going to take that race lead and lead that bottom group. But what a run from Keegan Leahy up top. He might be able to get as they work through the tri-oval inside of 10 laps to go.
Yeah, 8 laps to go at the line. You saw the 11 swerving up top to the track, then decides, no, I want to stay on that bottom side. That was Harberts, and now Harberts will come in forward the wall. It's Seth cautions out, and we will have a restart.
oh boy, that 4 car, what was this? Was this another car getting a push from the right rear? Indeed it was. Who did he get a shot from? It was Robbie Vrabel Jr. Both of those drivers we've seen work well tonight, and I think it's just sort of awkward timing because Seth sort of moved that car about a quarter or half car width down the racetrack just as Vrabel got into him to give him a little bit of a bump. I think that was just unfortunate timing there for those two, and that sends that 4 machine around and somehow doesn't really collect anyone else. I don't actually know. Got a couple cars back in the back of the field, but for the most part we're only losing 1 or 2 cars at most. But that 4 car, not a good way to end this one.
That was the 7 who got broadsided. Braden Bulos absolutely out of nowhere. All of a sudden, hello Seth the Merchant, and knocks in the right side fenders on that car. And well, I think we're good on fuel with this caution coming out, but Rod, well, Seth's gone, so that means this is going to be a case where that 16 was so fast, but I'm not sure if he still has damage from that. Oh boy, and to dial it all back up, we're going to get a restart with like 4 laps to go. So this is going to be desperation time for some of these drivers.
Yeah, heartbreak for Seth. I feel for him, and just a battle of that right rear getting hit again, and it was a little bit of an awkward location there in the tri-oval, and that's one of the hardest places to give a bump. Bumping in the corner, unfortunately, but 4 laps to go. Coming to a restart, that's going to be really fun to watch. We've seen, right now we got looks like Brandon Pipgrass done a great job racing up front, all racing the 18. But again, we got Chad Coleman, we got Keegan Lee, we got Robbie Vrabel, David Rattler, Colton Davis. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. Are they going to be able to make it a last lap dash, or are we going to see a big one? So Randy, do you want to see him wreck them all, or do you want to see him race to the finish here?
I think it doesn't matter what I want. I think we're at the situation where, because there's so much on the line with Peak, I think we're going to see a lot of aggressive drivers. Like I said, that 17 is Steven Wilson. I'm expecting that light blue Toyota Camry to be super aggressive once we go back to green here, because he needs a win to be ultra safe, I think, to have any hope of being able to get in. But I don't know. There's going to be a lot of aggressive guys out there, and I'd be surprised if we finish this one under green. And I'm still sort of like you, sort of on the fence whether any of these guys, even with this yellow, can still make it to the end.
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a recap here, because we'll bring up your point standings one last time, because that plays such a huge factor. This, of course, your entry ticket into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Your top 10 drivers make it in there. That's that cut line you see. David Rattler, one of the drivers right on the bubble. He is running where he needs to run in 5th, as opposed to the driver he's racing for, Garrett Lowe, currently running 20th. Your leader right now, Brandon Pipgrass, currently 6th in the championship, a little bit on the bubble, but has a fairly safe cushion, especially if he finishes in that top 5. You got Brian Blackford, not in this race tonight, don't have to worry. Liam Brotherton, not in this race. They're probably in split 2, Randy, so they will get points. But if you're David Rattler, you're probably going to be in a good position. Another driver on the cut line, Michael Guest, that 5 car. He's running 9th. Well, he's 9th in points, and he's running 16th, so he's kind of on the borderline. He's going to be sweating it out here towards the end. And Alex Bergeron, who we have not talked about at all tonight, he's running 29th, which is dangerously low down in your field.
Yeah, there's some guys that are really tight, running pretty far down the order, and like you said, you mentioned Michael Guest, he's one to watch. Bergeron, a lot of guys that are
even
published. Yeah, there's so many people that are in very bad situations, even though they came into this race in the good, in the green, and there's people that are in the red having better nights right now. So I would be very surprised if we see that 18 car Brandon Pipgrass race super hard from the win here, considering his situation in the points. Like you said, he can finish top 5. He's in a good position, and actually, I mean, where is Jarl right now out there on the racetrack?
Jarl's 24th. He's not in a good spot. He's not rebounded.
I think he was maybe really gambling that would go green, really saving in the back of the field. Because as quick as that 6 car was during the early stage of this race, I think he would have been able to make up more spots. So he's one where I think he's definitely good to make it, if they're considering the fact that he hasn't grown up very many spots since we went back to green. But God, this is. Who knows? 5 laps left for who decides who gets into Peak. This is going to be an entertaining one, to say the least.
Yeah, and we don't, keep in mind, we won't know what the points payout's going to be because, of course, several splits of this race going to finish at the same time. So we'll get you those points as soon as we have them and once we have a clear picture of who's going to make it into the series. I'll tell you this, though. Your top 4 in the championship, so we'll bring that back up. That's track facts. That won't really help. So your top 4 in the standings going into tonight, probably good. Casey Kerwin probably doesn't have to worry, and even if he did, he's right now running 12th. Not too bad. Colton Davis, same story, running 6th in the race, 2nd in points. Not bad. Where is Shelton? Shelton's actually kind of fallen down the field a little bit. Not sure where that driver is. Looking for him. He's 24th, but he has a fairly big points cushion. Same for Keegan Leahy. Leahy's been up front. He's running 3rd, second car on the bottom line. So those guys really don't have to worry, Randy. Even I throw in Brad Davies as well. So kind of everybody 6th on back is going to be drivers to watch here. And, of course, one of them, Brandon Pipgrass, continuing to lead here under caution.
Yeah, I mean, it's... God, this is going to be an entertaining restart. Still got questions on fuel. I know we got a couple of the crew chiefs that were sitting there, especially Logan Clampett. Logan, if you're in the chat, tell us whether or not if you guys were good on fuel or not, because that's going to be one of the big things to talk about in this one as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. I don't know. It's Daytona. You know, restart inside 5 laps to go. It is a dice roll, no matter how you line it up or how many ways you try to analyze it. We're not going to know until either a caution flies or they somehow make it back to the line clean.
Could one of these 10 drivers win it? Brandon Pipgrass, Chad Coleman, Keegan Leahy, Robbie Vrabel Jr., David Rattler, Colton Davis, Steven Wilson, Jacob Harberts, Nathan Lyon, or Logan Kress, or maybe even somebody else. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car heads to pit road, and the field in the hands of Brandon Pipgrass. He's going to check them all up. He wants a yellow to fly. Green flag back in the air.
That might be bad for Chad Coleman because he beat that 18 car to the line. Hopefully he does not get some sort of a black for that as they work themselves towards 1 and 2, and Pipgrass going to nose back out in front. Top groove coming in. I think there's more. I think there's people who are coming. Big pile up. And your mid-pack, that's catching out the entirety of the tail end of the field, and that's going to end this one under yellow. It's a huge incident in 1 and 2.
And exactly what Pipgrass wanted to happen. You saw him lay back on the lead, and I think I saw the 1 car spinning behind. That was Garrett Lowe, and it all of a sudden looks like it could.
Who won it?
To the end. I'm not really sure. That could be given to Coleman if he didn't get a black flag.
I'm not sure. Pipgrass is out there cruising right now out in front. Not sure the timing is telling people to go. I think it's sending Coleman to 3rd because Keegan's in the 2nd spot. I think Pipgrass may have gotten this one.
We'll have to see, and it looks like the 1 maybe made contact with the wall, not sure, and came down into the rest of your field here, and it was carnage behind him, and he'll get rolled over there. So issues with the 1 car, but he comes down off the groove there and goes into the rest of your field. But we gotta cut to the live picture because I think Pipgrass had the lead at the timing line. We'll have to see. Keegan Leahy might have been able to steal 2nd there. So we'll catch up behind the pace car here and see where everybody files out. Where is the pace car anyway? It looks like just down the back straightaway a little bit there, Rod. But we knew, Rod, that coming into this, that's exactly what Pipgrass wanted to see. He checked them all up because he wanted that wreck. Of course, we're not going to get a restart here, so this could be an easy cruise for him to victory.
Yeah, just when you thought Chad Coleman had that great start and had that momentum, Brandon Pipgrass out up front. Definitely when the caution came out there, so it looks like he's going to be going to victory lane tonight there. I think the only question is whether or not Keegan Lee or Chad Coleman is 2nd. Looks like Keegan's acting like he got P2. So, yeah, looking back at that wreck, not sure what happened with the 1 there. It really awkwardly.
It was odd.
Just weird.
Odd caution, but
Garrett just turned left, and I don't necessarily know if that was anything he could control at that point. There looks like there was something inevitable that caused that to happen. But unfortunate, we wanted to see the race to the end. But I think there's gonna be a lot of happy campers here, at least for making it into the Peak Antifreeze series.
No, that's that's definitely going to be something that carries on long after this race, whether it's in the comment section or in the forums or something. Plenty of discussion to go around that, but it looks like Brandon Pipgrass will lead the field around. And Randy, that might have just secured Pipgrass into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series. And if you're the 18, yeah, I think you could breathe for the first time tonight because there was so much uneasiness coming into tonight for those drivers. Another one who can, I think David Rattler can start to breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said there about Pipgrass and Rattler as well. It's going to be, I mean, Rattler is a little bit tighter coming into this 10th in the points, so there might be some concerns for him, maybe depending on what happens in that second split. But as always, the top split is always the best points payout. But for Brandon Pipgrass to come into this one 6th in the points and to win the top split, hope to see you run well in Peak next year, bud.
Yeah, and we'll get some clarification on 11th through 15th. I'm not sure if they get the crossover license or if they're not even going to get a license at all. I'm not sure. We'll have to hand that one over to T-HUD back. You can catch that, of course. That'll be on the forums. That'll be on social media. We'll let you know on that one. But white flag going to be out this time. And also keep an eye, of course, on all these drivers, Randy, because I'm not going to say that I've seen this before, but you got to make it to the end of the race here, because it could be a case where if something goes wrong, if somebody maybe gets on the Netflix and kicks you off the sim, that would not be good. So everybody's still going to make it around to the checkered flag here. Are there any cars, I'll look back through your field, are there any cars really smoking, worrying about popping engines? I see one car with no front nose on it. That's Guerrilla 22, looking like a modified out there. But
yeah, Benefield as well in the 40. I don't think we have too many people. I mean, this car is a big damage, but I don't see any smoke, so I think everyone in terms of motors should be fine. And I'd be very surprised if anyone has any issues here with fuel. The fact that I think 2 cautions from when everyone came down pit road, I think we would have felt absolutely perfectly fine. And especially with this ending under caution, I think this is going to be perfect. So like you said, unless anyone's side chick comes over to Netflix and chill a little bit too early, I don't think we'll have any tech issues as we come to the line.
I don't think that sentence has ever been said in an official broadcast.
It has now.
Randy. Setting records, but caution flag continues to fly. This race will end under caution. We did jinx it a little bit, but I said, Rod, we hadn't seen the big one, and desperation times call for desperate measures, and well, there it was. And unfortunately, not the way we wanted to see it end, but for Brandon Pipgrass, he could sigh a little bit of relief here.
He certainly can, as he's going to be the victor of the sorrow of that wreck that happened. And you know, unfortunately, there for those guys that were mid-pack there that got involved in that, they're hopefully not peak impacting, but you know, certainly there it's been a great race there. Had a great first half of the race as far as you know, lack of cautions and green flag racing, side-by-side racing. So these guys have a lot to be proud of tonight.
Yeah, they do, and as they pace through turns 3 and 4, it'll be Brandon Pipgrass for Slip Angle Motorsports. Gonna come across the line first, and for everything that we can see right here, probably secure his spot into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. They'll come into the tri-oval for the final time, and Brandon gonna be able to celebrate and sigh of relief out of the driver of the 18. He, by unofficial standings at least, he'll make it in to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, as will the guy behind him, Keegan Leahy, and another driver, Randy, who we talked so much about in this series. Another fantastic finish for the 8, and he also for sure will be moving on into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
And Keegan should be a very happy camper. Comes in 4th, comes away in that 2nd spot. Very, very well done for Keegan there. So really your top 2 doing a good job solidifying themselves into Peak next season. That's going to be kicking off in about just a few weeks here. And, you know, congratulations to them and to everyone else who ran very well tonight.
Yeah, and David Rattler, another driver here that could have clinched his chances. We still need to get the official points, but did everything he needed to do apart from win the race. And Rod, it's hard to points race at plate tracks. It's extremely hard to do so, but Rattler did what he needed to, and it worked. It worked, and he finished 7th here, and that's, I think, one of the best runs he could have had, and amidst all the chaos, made it work and got some very valuable points out of this thing.
You're right, Cisco. I mean, when you have 41 cars in a plate race, it's survival, and coming away with the top 10 finish is definitely survival. It's a good points night. I mean, that's how I race. You know, it's if you can finish in the top 10, top 5 at the end of the night, you know, with that good of a field and that stout of a field, that's a really, really good night, and that just, you know, follows up the consistency that's been happening all season with that guy. So, you know, kudos.
And well, we're gonna wait for Jarl to update our points total, see if we get a points total on the forums. But either way, let's run you through your full finishing order here from Daytona for the final round, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. powered by iRacing. The man doing donuts there on the inside is Brandon Pipgrass gets the victory here. Second gonna go to Keegan Lee. Third gonna go to Chad Coleman. Robbie Vrabel Jr. will finish fourth. Fifth gonna go to Colton Davis. Sixth gonna go to Jacob Harberts. David Rattler finished in seventh. Eighth gonna go to Logan Kress.
There's a lot of burnouts happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's very smoky down there. And Casey Kerwin gets 10th, another driver who has all but locked himself into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, Randy.
Yeah, and just going down the rest of your finishing order: Nathan Lyon, Eric Smith, Brad Davies, Nick Morse, Mikhail Cadeau, Michael Guest, Brandon Wilkinson, James Milbacher, Nick Shelton, and Patrick Bell around at the top 20s. I think the guys we have down there are the guys feeling confident they're getting their black stripes going into next season.
Yeah, you can kind of see behind the graphic, you got the 13 of Davis, you got the 3 of Kerwin down there, and everybody doing bonus. I think Shelton, yep, Shelton's down there as well, but 21st
on pit road.
Yep. Guerrilla going to finish 21st, 22nd to Glenn Rockefeller Jr., 23rd to Derek Wood, 24th. Going to go to Tyler Hudson, 25th to Alex Bergeron, 26th to Jake Nichols, 27th it's going to be Andre Fiorini, 28th going to go to Marcus Ruckman, Ryan Doucette, 29th, Jarl Tyen going to finish 30th.
Going on down the rest of this one, Dallas Pasaka at 31st, Garrett Lowe 32nd, Adam Benefield 33rd, 34th Jan Babs Charles, 35th Kane Cook, 36th Brandon Buhos, 37th Ben Nelson, and all those drivers finish on the lead lap. Only 4 drivers end up laps down after 100 laps, 250 miles of running. That's Trey Edson, Seth the Merchant, Adam DeBlasio, and Mitchell Hunt.
And I think Brandon just ran over my camera on the infield grass, so I'm going to have to charge him some of that winning purse. Not that there is any. I guess we'll send the bill to Slip Angle Motorsports, but we're going to step aside here, and point totals are starting to get totaled, so we'll get back with that and get our unofficial but unofficial point total here after the break. You're watching coverage of the final race of the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series right here on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. Back in a moment.
When I was 16 years old, I was working at a Goodyear tire store, and my boss actually built an old dirt car, street stock Monte Carlo. Went with him one night, fell in love with it. It was a hell of a race, hell of a party, and a big fight afterwards. I was like, this is it. This is it for me. It wasn't long after that, I was driving an old 78 Camaro out of the weeds at that guy's farm. We pulled that thing out and made a race car out of it, and away we went. You know, I think a driver has more to do with the equation going back and racing dirt, whether it's a modified, a late model. You can do more with the race car. You know, the harder you drive it, a lot of times, the better it goes. You can crawl up on that wheel and feel like you made the difference at the end of the night. Asphalt car, you can't overdrive them. Well, that was the first thing that I had to learn right off the bat is, oh my gosh, I've got to discipline myself, not overdrive this thing, and that's how you get the most out of it. Truth be told, communicating the right information to your crew and your crew chief so they can do their job and make their appropriate adjustments for you to go faster and do your job is probably 90% of the game in our world. I've always loved late models. You know, my dream was to be a late model driver driving for a living across the country like Daryl and Don do that drive for me. I mean, that was, truth be told, that was my dream, you know. I always wanted a semi. I always wanted a stacker trailer with 2 hot rods in it and let's go racing. Let's take off with your buddies and go race and chase that dream. Never in a million years did I think it would turn into a Cup Series, and I actually have an opportunity to own 2 you know, dirt late model teams. When you think of iRacing, you don't think of a video game. It's not. It's way above and beyond any of that. You know, dirt racing changes so much. The track changes so much. Being able to capture that, to, you know, experience all those details that surround dirt racing and make dirt racing what it is what makes iRacing so cool, because they did nail all of that. I knew when they came to our shop and scanned cars and went to the detail of getting that car right, I knew that it was going to be over the top. because it blew my mind just the work that went into making sure the car itself was legit. This sport has been around a long time. The competition can't be replaced, and that's what brings people back to the racetrack week in and week out.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Back live here at the Daytona International Speedways, we begin the LSRTV post-race show here from the last round of the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series here on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Cisco Scaramuza alongside Randy Cheneth and Rod Flagg. We brought you all the action, and at the top of the point stand total, we'll get to that in a moment because we're just getting that all set up here to bring to you guys. We're at the top of victory lane was the driver who got it done. It was Brandon Pipgrass, and he's standing by with Randy Cheneth.
I am stood by with who I termed as Brandon Plotgrass in this one. Brandon, what a run it was from you, 10th on the grid. You came in a little bit of an awkward situation in the points about midway. You couldn't really afford to have a bad race, but as long as you got a decent finish, you were definitely guaranteed in to peak next season. You came out and you got more than a decent finish. You won the dang thing. How's that 18 car tonight?
Oh, it was a rocket for sure. But yeah, my plan was just to finish. Like a top 20 would have done me good, but to win, oh man, so much went through my head those last 10-15 laps, just picking lines, getting runs, making sure your run can't get blocked. Oh, it was a great race.
Now, talking about that, I mean, we had so many of you guys out up toward the front of that field that were in the good. You had yourself, you had Keegan Leahy, who was looking strong, Colton Davis, he was guaranteed in already. So many of you were in decent situations. How aggressive were you expecting to be if someone got really, really tight, started pushing really hard? Because we had a couple drivers up near that top 5 that came into this race on the outside looking in that I was expecting, if it went green, to be very aggressive trying to win this thing. Would you have fought with someone very hard for the win, or would you have let it slip?
My spotter wanted Bobby Zalinski is like, just ride the bottom no matter what, because the outside wasn't going to prevail. But I think everyone was so hot by the time we got that yellow with 7 to go that I don't know if the outside would have had enough momentum, but I definitely would have just stuck to the bottom and just rode it out.
Well, Brandon, just a few more weeks until you get to run this place again as a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series driver. How excited are you for that?
Oh man, I'm super excited. I started watching iRacing back in 2012, a year before I even got it. And I told my parents that I could race for $10,000, and just 6 years later, I'm actually going to have a chance to do it.
Well, Brandon, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on getting yourself into the biggest championship for stock car racing on the iRacing sim. Before we let you go, any shout outs, and who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank everyone at Slip Angle Motorsports. They gave a rocket ship of cars all 10 weeks to get me to the spot. Bobby Zalinski for being on the box all 10 weeks. Ray being here most of the time. Definitely for this race, Keegan and Jarl, we kind of had a strategy to work with them the whole race there, so definitely to Keegan and them. Like I said, everybody again at Slip Angle, it was a great year.
Congratulations once again, Brandon. We'll see you in about a month's time on Race Spot.
Thank you, guys.
Cisco, back over to you.
Yep, we saw it flash on screen there for a moment. It was because I was trying to turn the music off, but here you go. This was the battle for the points at the end of it. And as you see, Colton Davis was able to steal away the championship from Casey Kerwin, his teammate there at the end. Of course, this is unofficial, but we do want to thank Jarl Tyan. He's been helping out everybody with the points, so this was Jarl.
I think he does it across all of the championships. I know he does it for the Blanc Pond as well.
Yeah, so Jarl doing a lot of the legwork on this, so by all means, give him all the credit in the world for that one. But this is your top 10 who made it in. Colton Davis, Casey Kerwin, Keegan Lay, Nicholas Shelton, Brandon Pipgrass, Brad Davies, David Rattler, Jarl Tyan, Alex Bergeron, and Michael Guest. And some of the names you're seeing on there, Brian Blackford, for example, was in split 2, keep in mind. So he did run this evening, was just a little bit too far off the points marker to be able to steal it away. But with that, we've got a champion crowned, Randy, and that means one thing. We got to talk to the championship crew. And I did this actually Saturday night with the United Sim Racing B&Z Lawn Landscaping Truck Series, so why not experiment with it now? Let's talk to the whole team behind the scenes who made it happen for that group for Dead Zone Racing. And first, we're going to talk with the champion, Colton Davis, who steals it away from Kerwin at the end. And Colton, it was a hard-fought battle with your teammate, and you made it happen. Talk us through the race, man.
Well, it kind of started off on a low note with me having to miss the grid because I messed up on our tape. So that kind of set us back throughout the race. And to be honest, I just got lucky with how the yellows fell and who wanted to work with me and who didn't.
And you got a little bit of help initially from Tyler Hudson, but you guys fell a lap down early and were able to rally back thanks to the cautions and thanks to everything. And for you, not only it's making it into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, but doing so in the same way that Ryan Luza did it last year, you know, winning the championship. Maybe not the most dominant fashion that he did last year, but still, you got the championship to look forward to. That's got to be good thoughts for you going into the race in February here.
Yeah, it's definitely a confidence booster, but I don't think anything will ever come close to what Ryan did last year.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk to your teammate really quick, and feel free to jump in if he starts running down your car at all. But Casey, you were on the other side of this, and you finished 10th here this evening, but you and Colton both were at the front of these fields for most of this series, and we knew going into this that you probably were going to have a good shot at getting in, but you had even a good run here at Daytona, man.
Yeah, it was. It hurts to lose a championship like that. You know, 3 points isn't even a position, but to lose to my teammate and get a 1-2 for dead zone in the Pro Series and points is great. And yeah, tonight it was rough, you know, when Colton had that issue at the start and he was stuck a lap down, you know, and we were sitting in a good spot. I was kind of praying for it to go caution free. But then, you know, caution came out, he got back on the lead lap, and he did a heck of a job getting through the field, and just you know, struggled picking the right lines. And then, you know, there on that last restart, the top was rolling good. And when that caution came out in the race, you know, I was only a few inches from getting that one more spot that could have changed the outcome. But yeah, just couldn't be happier.
Well, I'm going to go to you, Mr. Houston Hammer, who's the crew chief on both these cars, and I'd say one of the team directors of Dead Zone Racing. And we knew coming into this season that Alan Bowes was going to be kind of stepping away from his primary role. He hasn't had a lot of time on the sim lately, and they kind of opened up a little bit of a void in terms of needing drivers to run at the top step. You got at least two going into this series in the two we have here on TeamSpeak. For you as the team director, what does this do to your team morale in terms of what you need to work for the upcoming Peak Series here?
You know, things are really looking up. Last year, I took a break and I really hated to do that to Alan. It cost him to lose his license. But, you know, things always happen, and Alan's moved on from this series and iRacing in general for the most part. But I told Casey I'd come back, and I did just that and got him to second, almost winning the championship. Colton came on at the end of the season, and he really helped us out with who he knew and all his friends and everybody within iRacing. But Colton's fast, and I didn't really expect it from where he was running previously. And him and Casey just, I mean, they're going to be flagship along with Lowe and Reynolds for this upcoming peak season. It's going to be really interesting to see how these guys can compete against those two.
Well, Colton, you got the trophy here, so because you did that, you get to do the sponsor read. So anybody you want to say hello to, sponsors, shout-outs, everybody that makes not only the 13 car happen, but also the 3 and everything else behind the scenes at Dead Zone.
Well, first off, I want to thank Michael Gonzalez for that paint, Houston for helping me every week on the setup, Ryan Lowe for spotting me these last races ever since I've been on Dead Zone. We've really clicked. It's been fun. R-Laps and Next Level Racing, they just came on this week.
And before we let you go, and as is tradition here on LSRTV, whenever we get the champion of the series, we always ask them the same question. So, Colton Davis, what is your favorite kind of sandwich?
Is it cheeseburger or a sandwich?
No. You have to pick a sandwich.
No, okay.
Krabby Patty.
That doesn't count either case.
It's a hamburger.
I guess a turkey sandwich.
Turkey sandwich. All
Just
right.
like
Turkey's been a running theme lately. I think we've had a couple champions who have preferred turkey sandwiches. So there you go. If you want to win a series in iRacing, you should
just don't talk to Sean Siff about it.
Oh boy.
Wait, just plain turkey, Colton?
No, you gotta have some cheese in there, and put it on like a hoagie bun, and
now we're talking.
Salt and pepper. Make a homemade Subway sandwich.
No mustard or mayonnaise or
no, that stuff's disgusting.
All right, well, we're gonna steal the mic away from him, and before we let you go as well, Casey, anyone else you need to say hello to, and who makes it happen for the 3 car?
Yeah, just gotta thank Houston also, for helping me all year and coming so close to getting a championship and moving on to the Peak Series. So looking forward to seeing what we can do next year, and gotta thank John Dragonetti for making the awesome paint scheme this year, and gotta thank Kirkwood Transportation.
All right, well, that's Dead Zone Racing, Colton Davis and Casey Kerwin, your top 2 in your championship, and we'll see those guys in the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. But I pass the mic back to Randy, who's going to catch up with the driver who finished second here, another dominant driver in this series. It's Keegan Leahy, and he's caught up with Randy.
Yeah, I'm stood by with Keegan Leahy. Keegan, it was a good run for you tonight. You're up near the front pretty much all evening, and that 8 car started 5th, finished 2nd. How was it for you tonight?
Yeah, well, we put a ton of hours into the setup, especially Yarl. It was really, really good working with him. We were also allied with Slip Angle Motorsports. So we had some draft partners all night. I was working with Brandon Pipgrass, who ended up winning, which is awesome to see. And I think everyone else got pretty much what they were going for this race, even though Jarl had some issues and Shelton never really ended up getting up to the front of the pack near the end. Everyone got the points they needed. I think we're all in the top 10 and pretty stable. So just really happy. Good overall night.
Now, talking about that, we saw a very, very calm first half of this race at Daytona tonight. A lot of green flag running, and then the caution started to fly about halfway, and then they got came up a little bit in intensity towards the end. Were you expecting it to be a calm start, or did you think that this might be a slugfest right from the beginning, and, well, we could still be sitting here for another hour potentially running with 40 laps to go?
The thing is with this race especially is it doesn't really matter where you're running as long as you're close to the leader, especially at the start of the race, because as soon as you make a pit stop, you can gain 5 seconds in the pits easily, just how much you want to push. And really, nobody was trying too hard to pass anyone because you were just going to either gain or lose all that ground again in the pits anyway. So it just wasn't worth making the moves at the start. Near the end, we knew there was probably not going to be any more green flag pit stops. So that's the point where it started getting crazy. Everyone knew they had to actually fight for the on-track position instead of just positioning themselves somewhere around the front.
Well, Peak Antifreeze Series, it kicks off in just a few weeks, and we're going to start it right here from this 2.5 mile super speedway at Daytona. You guys from the Pro Series, of course, that are coming in have already been running it. I think that's going to give you guys a bit of an advantage over the guys that have maybe had a bit of an off season.
We're all so intertwined together. I'm working with Peak Antifreeze drivers every week. Pretty much everyone you see in the field has a couple of Peak drivers that they're affiliated with. They're going to have the setup prepared. They know how to run the plate tracks. They're here because they're good drivers. I think there's not going to be any real advantage for me.
Well, that was certainly a not so drama-filled answer that I wasn't hoping for, but regardless, it is a true answer. It's okay. It's how it is. I like it. But Keegan, still, you get yourself in to run a good run tonight to steal that second spot from Chad Coleman there, right there at the end. Before we let you go, any shout-outs, and who would you like to thank after your strong finish tonight?
Yeah, again, thanks to the guys I was working with. Congratulations to Pippi again. And I'd like to thank Michael Gonzalez for the paint scheme. I think it looked really good at night. And I really want to thank who's on the car. That's VRS. I made my first data pack for the C Open truck, and I'm really happy with the setup. I'm really happy with how it handles, and I think I put a lot of good information on there, and I hope it helps people learn.
That was Keegan Leahy, and you'll also be seeing him in just a short time on RaceSpot TV for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series that'll be kicking off in a few weeks' time. But passing down the order, I'm not sure who's next in line. Cisco, you're producing. Who do we got?
We're going to be talking to the giant amount of people involved in the David Rattler camp. So we're going to drag in Matt Bontempi. We're going to drag in looks like who else we got? Zach Novak. We're even going to drag in Jimmy Mullis. So a lot of people behind the scenes on the 26 or the 09 as he will be running in the series. But David, a very, very, very good position for you coming out of tonight. You came into tonight only 1 point up on Garrett Lowe. You needed to have this kind of night, and you did exactly what you needed to do, my friend. Talk us through it, man.
I don't know if I made it or not, but
yes,
congrats to Brandon on the win. Congrats to, I believe, Colton on the championship. But yeah, I wasn't sure if we had the pace or not when it came to race time. I don't think I really could make anything work on the high side, or wasn't willing to push it there on the high side. So just tried to fall in line, and my guys put me in the position I needed to be there at the end. I got to thank everyone at LDR, especially Matt, Will, Jimmy, Zach, and Cop, and Logan. Put in a lot of effort to figure the car out with the new build, and it's nice to have a great group of guys that work hard to figure out the car and to make it go fast, but also have fun doing it. So, like I said, I don't know if I made it or not, but I definitely look forward to working on the car, doing laps, and helping the guys who are in impasse to, win. hopefully some races and have a shot at the championship.
Well, according to Jarl's math, and that's what we're going off of right now, regardless of if there were drops or if there were not drops, you still would have made it in regardless. According to our math, you're going to finish 7th in the championship overall. With drops, without drops, you would have finished 10th anyway. So by everything that we're seeing, it looks like you will be, in fact, racing here in about a month.
Well, if that's the case, like I said, we'll still be working hard to go fast for everyone on the team.
And Matt, I'll go to you. Of course, you yourself have run in the series before, but you know, very involved with the work on the car as well. And talk us through the amount of prep that's gone into this team to get David into this position once again.
Yeah, it's just been constant work every week, and just doing everything we can to get every last ounce of speed out of the car for him. David is an amazing driver. We're super happy to have him with us. We're super proud of him for how good he's done and for making it and everything. And I think David mentioned it before, but it's not just doing the work to the car, it's who you're doing it with. And we just have fun doing it. So that's the best part about it. We put in a lot of late nights, a lot of hours. I know before Atlanta, I think it was me, Jimmy, and David, we were up until, I would have to say, 3 in the morning the 2 nights before the race, just trying to find speed. So it's definitely been a collective group effort at LDR, and I'm just so proud of everyone on this team for the effort we put into it to put David into a position to be able to do this.
And I'll come to you next, Jimmy. Here, anything you need to add?
I just obviously want to say congrats to Colton on the championship. I think it's well deserved. Personally, I think he should have been in the series last year, so I'm proud of him and happy to see him in this year. Also, congrats to David for finishing 7th in points. Like they were saying, we put in a lot of work over this entire season, and I know myself, I've tested a ton, and it's just good to see that it's paid off. I'm fortunate that we couldn't get all 3 of our guys in that were running, but to have one get in at least is awesome. So can't wait for the season to get started, and hopefully we'll be digging.
And Novak, of course, before we let everybody go, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I just want to say, like Jimmy said, congrats to Colton on the championship. He did a good job all season. Congrats to Dead Zone as well. Finished 1-2 in the points, so that's really cool. Of course, awesome job by David to get in. But I really want to give a shout out to Will Cooley and Brennan Calvinger. They both missed it this season, but they did a lot of work on the car to give David a chance and give themselves a chance as well. But there's big things coming at LDR, man. We got 5 cars coming in. Me, Jimmy, David, of course, Taylor Hurst, and Andrew Fash. We're going to be working really hard to run well this year, so look out for LDR this year in NPAS.
All right, well, that's Zach Novak, Jimmy Mullis, Matt Von Tempe, and David, before we let you go, anybody you need to give a shout out here out in TV internet land here before we let you go?
Yeah, like they mentioned, just a great effort by Will and Cop. They were trying to make it alongside myself, and just can't be prouder of the effort that they put in. I know Will was close to making it, and I can't say enough about him. I didn't have any experience with him before the season, but I definitely am proud to be his teammate.
That's David Rattler. He will be racing in the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. And as we get everybody from that team moving on forward, I'm going to pass the mic over to Rod Flagg, who's caught up with the driver who was up there all night, wasn't fighting to get into his spot, but it was Chad Coleman, and he's with Rod Flagg.
All right, thanks, Cisco. Down here with the driver number 9 tonight, Chad Coleman. Chad, tell me just a little bit about how your night went. Started mid-pack. You seemed to get up front pretty easily, but tell me how that was getting up front and how the racing was.
Start with, never really messed with a qualifying setup. Just messed around with some race stuff. We probably had 30 minutes in the setup with myself and Byron Daly, and it was a lot faster than we thought it was going to be honest with you.
Good to hear. And I know that this is a question I've been curious about all night, at least in that last half of the race. How close was it on fuel there? Were you guys, if that last caution or two wouldn't have happened, would you guys had to have come down pit road?
I ran the first run. I was the last car to pit. I pitted about 43, I believe, and I still had probably a gallon of fuel left. So it would have ran right around 40, probably 44, 45 laps, even from, going back out and, burning the fuel to get lined back up and then the pace laps and everything. So I don't think it was going to be that close, but whenever you are that close, like you've seen us all doing, we were all saving fuel on the apron before we went back to green, but I wasn't worried at all about running out of fuel.
Awesome. Well, the one thing, a couple of things that we saw out there was, there's a couple of close calls, couple guys making some maneuvers there, or maybe blocking some momentum. Did it seem pretty hectic? Did it seem pretty cool out there? What was the racing like?
There was some close calls a couple of times that where we could have and maybe should have crashed, and everybody did a good job of holding on to their cars, but for the most part, it's just super speedway racing with this package. It's really hard to pass with this deal. You have to basically jump up in front of somebody with a run and let them hit you to get, shoot you off their bumper. And that's about all you can really do is that. So every time you go up to make a pass, you're basically putting yourself in harm's way. You just move up in front of them and hold on.
All right. Well, Chad, you had a great finish tonight. Third, I know it wasn't the finish you wanted, but definitely a great top 5 finish. Who makes it happen for you?
This week it was just pretty much myself and Byron Daly, and got to thank JD Laird, JDR Graphics for painting the car. This car's been around for probably about 2 years now, but it still works.
All right. Well, that's Chad Coleman. Go back to you, Cisco.
Yep, that's Chad, and now we're gonna grab one more driver and team combo who will be making their appearance in the 2018 NASCAR iRacing or NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, and that's the driver of Alex Bergeron, who I've stood by with here, and also his team owner of Ashton Crowder. But Alex, not the night you were looking for here from Talladega or from Daytona, but you still are able to sneak your way into the Peak Antifreeze Series. And for you, this is going to be your second season in this, and took some work to get there, but you signed them with a great team, and it seemed to pay off for you.
Yeah, definitely. Ashton and all the guys did awesome work all season long. Can't thank them enough for everything. Ashton is perfect on that, and I thank him a lot. And it's not the race I wanted to, definitely not. We had an incident in the pits, but that's part of it. And we tried to recover. We were kind of lucky, but that's part of it. And then the accident at the end was like the key for get ourselves in points. So yeah, that was decent.
Well, you definitely were a player in this for most of the season, and you were able to sneak it all in and able to just beat out Michael Guest there and steal away that 9th spot. You'll finish 9th overall by our math with the drops here in the championship. That's got to feel good going into 2018. This was a very competitive series, unlike kind of what we saw last year. A lot of drivers were at the front of the field, including yourself, and that's going to give you a lot of confidence that you'll have the tools you need going into Peak this year.
Oh, definitely. The Drill Spill team is very good, and I'm sure we're gonna be up there. Definitely, we're gonna at least performed in the championship. Definitely, we had good races. Like at Sonoma, we won the race, and we had good runs. Dover and Darlington, and I know it was second split Darlington, but we had good runs, and it's very good, and hopefully we're gonna have a good success. I know last year in Peak, in Pro Series, I should say, we just sneak in like 28. So this year was it was competitive, and top 10 is very good for us. So yeah.
And I'll grab in the team owner here, Ashton Crowder. And Ashton, of course, for you being the team owner on this car, it's got to feel good to see Alex be able to make this step here.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He joined our team, I believe Homestead of Peak, and we knew from there that he was a really good driver. He can do everything: dirt, road, oval, and this year just giving him a whole fresh start because the team that he was on was kind of falling apart. But yeah, had a really good year, really consistent finishes. Most of them, were in second split, but second split, a lot of people, try to put it down, but it is still hard to get good finishes in there. But yeah, just had a terrific year and definitely feel good about it going into peak. Hopefully, they use the 1 to 6 week drop system, but I've been hearing they're using 1 to 10, but I believe we're still going to get in if they use the second one. But yeah, just overall really excited and really just looking forward to the 2018 NASCAR Peak Game Free Series. It's going to be really fun.
All right, Alex. Well, before we let you go, sponsor shout out to anybody you want to say hello to out there. Makes it happen.
Yeah, definitely. The drill spill, Ashton Crowder and all the guys back at the shop, and CrowderCrew.com, Tanner Tallarico for the paint scheme, and my rank, and that's pretty much it. So thank you guys, and thank you guys for broadcasting as well, LSRTV.com, and we'll see you in NASCAR Peak Game Free Series, hopefully.
That's Alex Bergeron and Ashton Crowder, and do want to clarify, of course, it is livesimracing.com. I don't know if we've actually registered LSRTV.com. I'll have to get with Evan on that. But before we let everybody go here on the evening, got one more driver going to line up. It's Randy with Robbie Vrabel Jr.
Yeah, I'm stood by with Robbie. Robbie, that number 16 was pretty quick all night. You managed to get yourself a solid top 5 tonight. You were one of the drivers we saw constantly working that top side of the racetrack, always someone pushing someone to the front, or if not getting pushed to the front. How do you make that top side work so well?
A lot of work by Christian last night. We tried building a conventional setup, and we couldn't even hang in the draft with all the guys that we were testing with, so we decided to break it as much as possible and run something that just looked hilarious, and it was fast, amazingly enough. It's kind of been a theme to this build so far, but just thanks to Christian for working on the car last night, and he gave me something that I can compete with, and felt good after qualifying. Having a top 10 start, I knew that we would have something good for the race, considering the setup wasn't much different in Q than it was in race, and found my way to the front early and just wanted to work the top side. I didn't have anything to lose, being 27th in points coming in. The only thing I wanted to do was win the race, and I knew I wasn't going to win the race sitting in 5th on the bottom the whole time. So anytime I saw an opportunity to go to the top, I wanted to take it.
Now, talking about that fact that, like you said, you were just a little bit too far coming into this one to really have much of a realistic hope of ever getting into the NPAS class for this year. How is it and how stressful is it just running up there with people like Brandon and Keegan and other drivers that are trying to race their way in to still have a chance? How much of what you're doing is consisting of, I don't want to be the guy who ruins someone's chance of getting into the Peak Candy Free Series, or do you not even worry about that?
No, for me, it's not something I worry about. I've raced with these guys for almost the last year and a half, 2 years now. I'm comfortable racing around all of them. Obviously, you don't want to be the guy to take somebody out. I would have felt real bad if I would have taken Rattler out, considering he only had a 1-point lead on 10th place coming into this race. That's one person that I probably would have been a little extra careful around. But yeah, I hooked Seth there in the try over there, and I felt terrible about it. Me and Seth are really, really good friends, and we work on the super speedways very well together. We often joke around saying that we're like Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. when we come here. We just never really plan on working with each other, but we always find each other, and we always have a ton of fun riding around and making moves. And so I wasn't really worried. A lot of guys, I'm real comfortable racing around. I raced around pit grass for a long time. All those guys in the top there just wanted to have some fun.
3 weeks until we see the NASCAR Peak Candy Free Series Championship kickoff on February the 20th. And I'm curious, Robbie, from your position on the outside looking in, you're maybe a little bit more unbiased than some. You got any predictions on a team and maybe even a driver we might see win week number 1?
Taylor Hurt. I don't know about week 1. I feel like week 1's anybody's game. Feel like the guys who ran in the Pro Series today, those teams are going to have a little bit of an advantage with setup building, because it's not pretty to look at. It's very, very frustrating to build. So I feel like everybody who ran tonight, who's in peak, is going to have a little bit of an advantage. But I would put my money on Taylor Hurst in lockdown. Taylor's an unbelievable driver, and he's on a good team now. So I don't know about week 1, but I'd be willing to watch that 74 be a contender in Homestead if he can just have a little bit of luck on his side and get through the season.
Well, before we let you go, Robbie, any shout-outs who would you like to thank for at least finishing this season off on a little bit of a high note with a solid top 5?
I just want to thank everybody at APC again, man. Like, all those guys, the memories that we made over the last 2 years, man, unforgettable. The teammates, the get-togethers, the late nights, all the games we play. They're a great group of guys. Unfortunately, the last week or so, we just had a bit of a falling out, just trying to stay competitive in iRacing. And happy for Taylor in his new spot. I know he's going to do great. Tonight, all the guys at Dynamic Autosports, like I said, Christian and Marcus for working on this thing last night. We ran a test here the other day against a bunch of guys, and I mean, we couldn't even hang in the draft. It was beyond frustrating and a little embarrassing, but we just tried some things, worked on the car, changed just about everything, and found some speed, and that allowed us to suck up in the draft and have some fun tonight. Like I said, that top side was fun. I was able to push guys. They were able to push me. Led a lot of this race. Felt good, man. Like, I felt like we had a real strong competitive car. That move there, I went to block the top late at the end of the race. I think it was about 15, 20 to go, and I just couldn't get back to the bottom. I didn't want to cut Coleman off and cause a wreck, and right when that happened, I felt like I had just thrown it away, and I was working real hard to get back to the front, and unfortunately the cautions there at the end kind of hurt, but still a top 5 to end the season. Been a long, miserable season. I think we were 13th without a drop week going into Atlanta when the build changed, and it just went all downhill from there. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Hopefully the builds will get better. Hopefully the cars will get better. Excited for the truck series, and if we can stay top 20 in trucks and race in the Xfinity series, I think it'll be a different story. I'm a huge fan of the Xfinity car, so we'll see what goes on from there. And thank you guys for the broadcast. Congrats to Colton on the championship. That was quite the comeback for him. I think he was like 6th or 7th in points when he started his March, and he was able to win the championship. So good for him, and congrats to everybody who made top 10, and be interested to watch this season, that's for sure.
Well, good luck to you, Robbie. Hope to see you run strong in the trucks, and maybe you get a shot in those Xfinity cars at the end of next year.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, end of this year, I should say, but don't ask me. But Cisco, that I believe does it for all the interviews for us tonight. I think we spent more time talking to people than we did watching the race.
Yeah, there were a lot of people we wanted to talk to and make sure we get interviews with. And after Bergeron mentioned it, I went back and double checked on the drops. Even with the drops, if they went to all 10 races, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I think Rattler would have gained about 40 points, but nobody in those last 4 races really had a terrible finish that they had to get dropped out. So as a result, yep, that points total we showed earlier on should carry over. So unless we hear otherwise, and that's not what I wanted to show, that's the balancer. So looks like I moved that. So ignore that.
Good job, Cisco.
Yeah, well, when you're trying to use screen grab and it's not working, there we go. That's the points total you want. Colton Davis, Casey Kerwin, Keegan Leahy, Nicholas Shelton, Brandon Pipgrass, Brad Davies, David Rattler, Jarl Tyen, Alex Bergeron, and Michael Guest. Those are your 10 drivers making it into the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. And Rod, final thoughts for you. You're still kind of getting used to this whole booth thing, but we figured it was Super Speedway. Call it the Super Speedway Cup guy, and had a great race here tonight.
Yeah, we did. We saw a lot of exciting action, really good green flag racing. Very few incidents there, but I think that lot to be excited about tonight. There's 10 really happy individuals who are going to be racing in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series here very shortly, and can't wait to see them continue the great competition here moving forward. But yeah, certainly great to watch the Super Speedway racing tonight as they put on a great show.
And Randy, I know you and I are going to be in some capacity involved with that coverage over on RaceSpot TV and iRacing's YouTube channel, so stay tuned to that. But yeah, Ryan Lunza mentioned in the comment section here, he dropped in and mentioned that this is one of the strongest pro fields we've seen, and I have to agree, these 10 guys definitely worked for it and raced their way into the series.
Yeah, it's a really, really talented pro field. I mean, Ryan really set the bar high for the pro qualifying guys last season, so Are we going to see someone repeat and maybe come out of the Pro Series and win a Peak Championship their first year out the way Ryan did? I'd be very, very surprised. But like you said, I'm really looking forward to week number 1 of that Peak Antifreeze Series Championship coming to you on February the 20th from this very racetrack. And like you said, you and I will be involved in some way. We don't have the booth crew figured out, but RaceSpot has a couple tricks up their sleeve they're currently working on that I think teams, drivers, and fans will all be very much a fan of. And we hopefully you guys end up being a fan of it, and I think it'll be an exciting opening to the season at Daytona.
Yeah, and for everybody involved here on the broadcast tonight, for Andy Cheneth, Ron Flagg, and of course those who make it happen behind the scenes, Laura Lawson, DJ Lyon, Evan Pisoko, everybody involved at LSRTV. Plenty of races coming up. Nothing tomorrow though, we got the race night off, so bring it, come it back. Of course, Thursday night, Upstate, Friday night, Super Speedway Cup, Rod Flagg himself here, his only going to be coming to you on LSRTV. Sunday, we got the Pac Majors Classic 2.4 Daytona, and that'll be airing before the Super Bowl, so don't worry, you can watch that, and then you can go watch that football game that everybody's excited about. But for everybody behind the scenes tonight,
the Daytona 500 of football.
Yeah, the Daytona 500 of football. We got it in. We wanted to get it in on the well, we'll talk about that later. But for Andy Cheneth, Rod Flagg, I've been Cisco Scaramouza. We'll say good night here from the World Center of Racing, and we'll see you here on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. But until next time, good night.